As we do all meetings, we will start with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag, and I'll ask all members of the court to lead us in those at the appropriate time. Please rise. Thank you. Commissioners. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Thank you. We're going to take a We're gonna take about a 10-minute break. Everybody can stretch their legs. We'll be back at about 12:20. We can do that. So I'm going to recess. Motion, second, favor to recess.
I'll second it if we go to that item.
Yeah, we already said we would.
Okay.
We'll go to that item on dealing with that. So we'll take about a 20-minute break. Thank you. I'm sorry, 15-minute break.
10?
No, 15. Do I hear a motion to reconvene? Moved by Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second? By Commissioner Garza. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries. I'm going to take a few items out of order. I'm going to do claims first because she needs to get those done. So let me go to item 4B, approval of claims.
Judge, Commissioners, I have payroll dated November the 10th for $1,613,386.29. I have an additional payroll run that I put in front of you for $197.86. Warrants number 268453 through 269127, warrants number 269132 through warrants number 269339. We have EFT, electronic fund transfers that went out to Caremark for health and medical prescriptions for $470,769.92. I'd also like to read in a claim that was approved at the last meeting, which was on October the 27th. It was warrant number 267882, which was read in and approved by court. That claim was voided for your approval.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve claims? Hello.
Yes. If I may, there is one particular claim that is being made payable to Las Colinas. It is a Cameron County FEMA reimbursement that came in, and that one is for $225,956.81. That is for damages going back to Hurricane Dolly. We have received the reimbursement from FEMA, and those were damages that were done to an individual property that are being reimbursed through Cameron County, and we are distributing the funds to the property owner.
Was there ever any claim filed to this court before? There was no legal action taken or anything like that, right? No. Okay. Yeah, I saw that claim and I wondered what it was.
It's a FEMA reimbursement that we've been working with the state. They did send a check in last week, and we're going to turn around and pay for the damages.
And will that satisfy the whole claim?
Yes.
Even though the claimant said it was more?
That should satisfy the
Claim, okay. Move to approve, Judge.
That's
Moved by
item 3B.
Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion?
Yes, I would like to note my abstention on warrant 02-69261.
Okay.
Judge, just if you can take 3V, the consent item.
I have an abstention also.
Okay, hold on. Okay, moved by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Benavides. Please note her abstention on the affidavit that she will provide. Please note Commissioner Hernandez's abstention on the affidavits he will provide. Please note my abstention on the affidavits that I have provided. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Which one, David? 3V? The consent?
Scott Rowland.
Oh,
Okay, would that include, that was included in your motion, Commissioners?
Yes.
And the
Yes.
second, okay, we're done. Okay,
Anything out of order we had to take, Pete, did you say? Other than the redistricting stuff? Okay. Let me go to item 4I, discussion, possible action on the reduction in numbers of JP and constable precincts and the realignment and consolidation of said precincts. Commissioner, that's yours.
You ready? Yeah.
We're ready to go.
Okay, we had a meeting this morning with everybody, and we talked about this particular item, and I would like to make a motion to approve the map as presented this morning.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hernandez. Second for discussion. Okay. And at this point, we can discuss it. If someone wants to come up and say something different than what was discussed this morning, now is your opportunity to do that.
Judge, I would like to say for the record that I received communication from the mayor of South Padre Island where he notes his concern if we were to eliminate the constable position in the Laguna Vista area, and well, the Laguna Madre area. I will tell you that, again, I would not like to see this done. It will affect my area one way or another. Right now, Constable Zamora has deputies that live in my southeast Brownsville area, and by them living there, they patrol my community. And so therefore, I would like to state that I am against this.
For discussion. Yeah. We're on, I'm sorry, Commissioner, you're out. We're on item 4I. There was a motion by Commissioner Hernandez, second by me for discussion.
I don't think it was for discussion. I think,
No, to open discussion.
yeah, but the motion that Commissioner Hernandez made was to approve.
That's correct. And I seconded it, and then now you have discussion.
And then we'll vote.
Yes,
Okay.
okay? All right.
So it ain't for discussion, it's for
Action.
voting.
Well, I had to second it in order to have discussion. Yes, sir.
My name is Jack Gibson. I live out in Peoria City. Good morning, Judge, Court. Judge, as you know, I always fight you on raising taxes. Well, I'm going to offer you a proposal as a present today. Not only am I going to give you $285,000, but I'll offer you another $15,000 to boot. Y'all figure out exactly how much my taxes are going to go up to raise $300,000, and you have my permission to do so. And I don't think there's a lot of people who disagree with that when they find out how much it's going to cost them.
Well, unfortunately, it's not binding, but thank you for the offer, Jack.
And if you get a note by every other taxpayer in the county.
Exactly. Okay. Commissioner, any discussion?
On the map is presented,
Yes, sir. He made a motion to approve the map as presented.
okay, can we put the map up there?
David?
I'd like to point out a couple of things. Put- And you can put up the current map and then put up the proposed map, David?
Okay, the current map should be coming up. The current map should be coming up in the next 5 seconds.
Commissioner Hernandez, do you have the numbers of population and the current precincts? Can you read those out to me?
Which one? Which number?
The current precinct map, this one right here, the way it is. Precinct 7 is the La Feria precinct. How many people are in that precinct?
I don't have from the current.
That one, that map right there. I believe it's something like 31,000 more or less.
I have it combined with Harlingen, it's 100,000.
Okay, we combine Harlingen and La Feria, that's 100,000 people. Okay, in San Benito, we have approximately, in precinct 3, about 40,000 people.
Yeah, 50,
How many?
about 50.
50, okay.
And 12 in Rio Hondo,
Okay, if you combine San Benito and Rio Hondo, how many is that?
62,706 people.
62,000. So that's 162,000. And then how many people are in the Los Fresnos precinct?
Combined with,
No, just on their own, I think there's about,
66,000,
The way it is right now.
the way it is right now, I think there's about 31,000 maybe.
hold on, let me check, I'll be on top. About 31, 32.
Okay, so we had that 31,000. We get a total of about 192,000 people. Okay? So that would be combining the two green, the orange, the pink, and the purple. Combining all of that area gives you 192,000 people. The yellow area has 180,000 people. Okay? About 12,000 population difference. Right now, the yellow area has to serve the community 2 JPs and 1 constable, 3 elected officials, okay? Now let's start adding up what we have in the green, the orange, the pink, and the purple. In La Feria, you have a constable and a judge. In Harlingen, you have a constable and 2 judges. In Rio Hondo, you have a constable and a judge. In San Benito, you have 2 judges and a constable. And in Los Fresnos, you have a constable and a judge. That's 12 elected officials to serve 192,000 people compared to 3 serving 180,000. Okay? So the purpose for this realignment is to try to spread the tax dollar a little more evenly for the public out there. In other words, the reality of it is that in Brownsville, we need at least 1 more judge to help the caseload. So we could either do that by creating a new position or 2 and increasing our general fund budget. That's going to cost us money. Or what we could do is realign the precincts and try to distribute it a little bit more evenly. That's the purpose of the function here today. It's not to target people, not to try to get rid of people's jobs. The idea is, how can we make this a little bit more fair to the taxpayer who's paying taxes for services throughout the county? By combining Harlingen and Precinct 7, those 2, you'd have 100,000 people in that precinct, correct, Commissioner?
Correct.
By combining San Benito and Rio Hondo, you'd have how many people?
62,000.
62,000. By combining Los Fresnos and Port Isabel, how many people would you have?
66,000.
Okay, so that would average, if we were to place, let's say, 2 judges in each of those precincts, about 30,000 per judge.
Correct.
Right? And then in Harlingen, if we were to place 2 in Harlingen and 1 in La Feria, that'd still make it about 30,000 per judge.
Correct.
That would leave Brownsville, it's still at 180,000, correct?
Correct.
But we could then later, not this term, but next go around, shift one of the JP positions from the San Benito, Rio Hondo area to run in Brownsville, correct?
Correct.
And then we would only have, instead of having 60,000 people and 3 JPs, have maybe 2 JPs for that area.
The Brownsville area would still have twice as many people to handle per judge. They'll still be at 60,000 apiece.
They'd still have 60,000 apiece compared to the rest of the county. Now, you got to consider that there's a lot less rural area there. So traffic citations are less. You might have more evictions, more civil cases, whatever papers to serve. And that's kind of the balance.
Did you all look to see how many of those 180,000 live inside the city limits of the city of Brownsville?
No, I was just looking at the precinct numbers.
Would anybody have a guesstimate to how many live within the city limits of the 180,000 there? Pretty much all of them except for the far west.
Probably 80%.
Yeah, but they still have to represent them whether they live in the city or not. Right.
That's not my point. My point is that the city folks have municipal judges that do a lot of the work that is done that don't go to your JPs.
And that's what I was saying, there's less traffic because the city gets traffic, but the city courts don't have civil jurisdiction. Municipal courts do not have jurisdiction to hear civil cases.
You want to put the other map up?
Now put the new map up.
% of your tax base in the background is slide.
As Judge Benny Ochoa put it, and rightfully so.
I mean, it's coming.
Okay, that right there would make 4 precincts. And that's the proposed map that we're looking at. And that would bring the number of constables from 7 down to 4. The green area is pretty large territory-wise, but population-wise, I don't know that it's that significant. One of the things that I was looking at right now during the break, because the comments that we got from the folks from Port Isabel, the chief of police down there, and Judge Ochoa about the constable over here. Right now, the constable in Port Isabel has 3 deputies, but he's supplemented with the park rangers. He's got, I think, 7 constable? 9. He's got 9 park rangers. Again, looking at the budgetary issue for our general fund, and I don't know, Dilbia, if you have the answer to this or not. If we were to leave the Los Fresnos Port Isabel as 2 different precincts, is there a possibility that maybe the salary for the constable, instead of it coming from general fund entirely, we can maybe get some of that money from parks? Since he is in charge of 9 park rangers and only 3 deputy constables?
Commissioner, that's something I'd have to look into. I don't have the answer to that right now.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I don't know if Martha knows, but I'd have to look into it, because I know the parks budget is separate.
It would be as easy as charging them for the supervision of that group of folks.
And just paying him.
I mean, we do that in other instances.
Now, would there be a problem if we made his general fund salary as a constable, say, $5,000 and parks $40,000 supplement?
I mean, honestly, I couldn't answer that right now. I'd have to look at it. I know that the parks budget is separate from the general fund, and you'd really have to, I would think, without looking into it, you'd really have to make sure that you separate that those functions are park functions, that they're out there, they're the park
They
rangers. And, you know, to be able to charge it to the park budget.
If 3/4 of the supervision is park, wouldn't that be?
So then maybe charge like 75% of his salary to the Parks Department.
I think you'd have to, like, put a number to how much time is spent out there and be able to, you know, put a percentage to how much time he's out there, his deputies and.
Would a park chief actually have to physically be there or just be in charge of his?
The park chief, I think, was there. He was there.
Well, but if he's got Boca Chica Beach, he can't be at Boca Chica Beach and Andy Bowie and Isla Blanca at the same time.
But the park chief, well, I don't know, is Javier Mendez here? Is that
He can be.
I don't think that well, I don't know.
Okay, well, let me ask it this way. Would there be a problem if all the other constables earned $45,000 and he earned $5,000 as a constable? Would there be any problem with that?
He's an elected official. I don't know, because you set their, I think you set their salaries at the beginning of the fiscal year, and you can't decrease their salary.
Well, no, we wouldn't do it right now, but next year, when we're talking next year's budget for 2013, we would say, Constable, we're going to set your salary at $5,000, but we're going to give you a stipend to run the parks of $40,000, where he still gets the same amount of money. It's just getting paid instead of out of general fund, it gets paid out of parks.
I don't feel comfortable answering unless I look into it and give you a correct answer.
Well, we can address that in the next budget. That's not a problem.
Well, but if we leave the constable now, then that would be the idea that next budget we would be doing that.
So are you suggesting to cut Port Isabel back out, precinct 1, the old precinct 1?
Because of the park rangers that he supervises, we could justify because we're looking at trying to cut general fund budget. If we can cut his salary out of general fund and his vehicle use out of general fund and make 75% of it, because he's got 9 deputies that he supervises over there, come from parks, then it saves general fund money. You know what I'm saying? So I would,
In that case, I will withdraw my motion and rescind.
well, if we can do that, I would suggest that because of now the only thing we need to consider though is up on the north, this map gives Arroyo City to Los Fresnos. Okay? If we're gonna do that, and we talked about there wouldn't be a shift in patrol, we might have to shift the deputy that's assigned right now to Precinct 4 under the old map to Los Fresnos Constable if they're going to be patrolling the Arroyo City Park area.
It doesn't really matter if they're being paid by park funds.
No, not that one.
That one individual is getting paid by park funds. But right now, under the old map, he's assigned to Rio Hondo. Under this new map, he would be assigned to Port Isabel.
Los Fresnos, if we separate them,
So where are we going to divide that?
the old line.
So the old line is just the actual park.
The old precinct 1 line, whatever it was, we can leave that intact as one. And then leave Los Fresnos, the new Los Fresnos.
So then Arroyo City would still be part of Rio Hondo and San Benito.
Where is it now?
Now under this new map, it's part of Los Fresnos, Port Isabel. Under the old map, it would be under,
No, we're saying take out, put Port Isabel back. Port Isabel, South Padre Island back to the original precinct 1.
okay?
And include the bottom part of
Yes.
also Chicopee?
Exactly like it was. Put it back exactly like it was. After I would do that, make that motion, where would Royal City be?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Can we get Rolando on the map up here and give us that change?
Commissioners, you understand too, if you're going to keep that extra constable, then that means it's 5 JP precincts, not 4.
Right.
I count well.
And that really doesn't matter because Judge Ochoa's in Port Isabel and Judge Mendoza's over in Los Fresnos. If we were to make just 4 precincts, it would be place 1 and 2 in this new precinct. So, that really doesn't matter.
Can you show me on the map where Royal City is?
I don't have a pointer, but it's up there where the little green sticks up, right there. That's Arroyo City.
Circle X over City.
Then you could cut right here, wherever there's a precinct.
Leave that as part of Rio Hondo San Benito.
You can, but we gotta find a precinct line right here to do that.
Well, under the old map, it's part of Rio Hondo.
Yeah, but we're only changing back this piece right now. If you start changing the whole thing, it's gonna be a pretty. But this is.
I wasn't assigned
So it's accurate.
accurate.
This one's a D.
Not according to the federal district courts in Washington.
What do they know? Was that 2 agencies or 3 agencies?
Okay, right here, right now, all of this right here, right now, is part of the Rio Hondo area, this. Right, but right now, the constable and JP that are here cover this area. So to give that back to them, to give this area back to them, what precinct is here to give back to them?
Find a precinct line right here somewhere.
And I know one exists, but that's all we would need to do is add those back.
Rolando, is that possible? Mr. Rios?
If you want to make changes, we can make some changes. Okay. Are we okay?
Here, you can take mine. You can take that one. Yeah, you don't need it. Yeah. I can't even see it. That's what's. I don't need it. It's like we're in church, everybody quiet.
Pass the collection basket.
Everybody's hungry, probably.
You want to move,
Right up here, where's the precinct line?
that right there, where are we going to move it to 3?
Right here.
Are we going to move it to 3?
Yes.
Kind of like that, across?
Right here? Where's Oregon City? Right here?
You want,
Yes.
This piece has to go right here.
that whole area, Commissioner?
Is that one precinct?
Well, you know, we don't have precincts yet. It's against the law to create precincts right now.
Well, can we cut it off? Is there a place to cut it right there? That way that gets it right there. Just kind of squares it off.
Yeah, we could add that.
Okay.
Like that?
Does that work?
Hey, if we go one more to the right, what does that pick up?
Where?
At the top, Arroyo City, to pick up the park.
Up here?
Right.
I have no idea what that is.
Orlando.
Right here? You want
yes.
this?
What does this pick up to pick up the park?
You want to zoom in? Let me see what,
Chili Willy's
Chili Willy's.
Reds, or what's it called? That's at the corner, but where does the park begin? Up here? Yeah, we need to add all this.
You want to add all that?
Right. Yeah, that way whoever has this area can take care of the entire park.
So we should go like,
Benny Ochoa. Right now. All the way to Port Isabel. Where they could just pay it on their way back, and well, not on their way back in Riondo because it's not filed yet, but. I like the Republican pointer, I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, exactly. Is this here? He said this is a Republican pointer. Is it yours or his?
like that, Commissioner?
Yes. This is the park here?
That's Marshall Hut Road.
So where's the park? Up here? Right here? This right here. So this would cover the entire park area. I'm asking Arroyo City people? Yes? Okay.
What about that little finger that's right there? Can you get rid of that? No, that little one that comes over this one. Where's my?
This?
Yeah, that little finger right there above Latina Ranch.
This?
Yeah, that little finger that's right there that's green.
This green?
Right.
Take that out.
Take that out, make that into the other one.
That might be one of those.
It might be
One of those precincts?
Like a representative precinct or something. It's probably part of the census tract.
Okay.
And they better stay on one road going up, or they're gonna be out of the precinct.
Can this little piece come out, Mr. Rios?
You want that little piece out?
If you can.
And it cuts out this whole area, I think.
Does it?
I'm guessing.
Like that?
What's the population now for this compared to 6?
6, it's 65,506.
And 3 is 63?
3 is 6.
3 is 63,774.
That's it, that's
Real close, yeah.
That's a little bit better.
2 is 176,512, and 5 is 100,446.
We still gotta pull out one.
We gotta separate now Port Isabel out, right?
Yeah, the precinct, the old precinct 1, Constable precinct 1.
Can you take old precinct 1, JP precinct 1, and carve it out again over here?
So we just gave back $50,000.
You want to create a new one?
Got it, got it. That'll work. No, you can do it.
I think what they want is the
You do it in
old
Commissioner's
precinct
Precinct,
1.
Road and Bridge pays part of it.
I don't know if I have it.
Yeah, you can do it. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I don't know if I have them here
Yeah.
on this computer. No, I don't have them.
No, we're almost done.
If you want to, Danny, I mean, Mr. Rios, you can start on this one first.
You want me to create a new JP precinct, the old one?
The old
JP1?
precinct 1.
Okay, but I don't have it in this computer. You want me to just create it right now? I can do that.
Yeah, start here at the bottom, start here, there's a line, what's that road that comes down here? What is that? So,
Is that 511?
What's the name of the street?
Start right here, down here.
All this,
All of that?
back to what?
So they're going from 7 to 5.
Yeah. All right. This step in the right direction. Indiana. There's a street here, Mr. Rios, it's Indiana. Everything east of Indiana will be part of precinct 1.
This street right here?
Let me see. Yeah, I think it's this one right here.
That street right there?
That 511, right, everything on this side. Correct, right?
Like that?
Yeah, plus the part down here, all this piece in here.
And get rid of that little orange thing.
Right here.
Why not just come straight down?
It is, right there. Here. Everything. This way. Perfect. Okay, now let's go.
Go up, Rolando? Go up?
You want me to move the map
Or
down?
go up that way? I thought I saw a sliver of orange.
Upsy daisy.
Carlos will find you, John.
Burnt orange, yes, sir.
That's the northern precinct.
There you go. That little strip right there, what's that?
That's the water.
That's a ship channel.
Why is it orange?
Well,
That's precinct 2.
Because Pete Avila's in charge of the water.
He's also Coast Guard,
Yep, he's the man of many hats.
Made towns.
Courthouse Security, Coast Guard,
Port security.
Port Security.
Port patrol. What about this little?
There should probably be orange, right here. Yeah. We'll go to water first.
It's all the water.
I'm gonna be asking for a boat soon.
Yeah, life preserver.
Floaty.
You guys are way too far.
Way to do all this now, the same thing, all through here.
What about this up here?
You want all that in there?
Yeah, we need all this in there,
Okay.
and Laguna Vista, Laguna Heights. I'm not sure how much.
Well, it's gotta go back to the original line.
They are.
I don't know what they are, but I'm sure not.
I don't know.
Who's a map guru, what's that?
The map genius.
You can always make a motion, withdraw the motion, I'll withdraw my second. You can make a motion to adopt the map, let him work on it.
Yeah, we'll go back to the original line. Right there, have the motion.
For precinct 1.
Well, but what happens in the north?
Yeah, and keep that the way that is.
Keep
Put
that,
that
and
to
just
center.
put one back to what it was. Okay, and then we figure it out.
Okay, Rolando, we're gonna go ahead and go on with the meeting
Pardon me?
while you figure out what precinct 1 is.
Say it again now?
We're gonna go ahead and go on with the meeting while you figure out what precinct 1 is, or was. I have
Here's the map.
an old map here that you can look at.
Okay, why don't we, Dilbia, how can we move on to another item? This one is on,
It's the orange.
on it, that's how you move on. Let me have
Table it
Commissioner
and then come
Hernandez,
back to it.
Rescind my motion.
yeah, let me have him rescind his motion. I'll rescind my second, correct?
Correct.
Motion second. All in
just-
favor to rescind and say aye.
There's nothing to vote on.
No, we have to
The
rescind.
motion. The
Yeah, we do.
motion.
Pay attention.
And then just don't take any.
Yeah,
go to
and then
a
we'll
vote.
just come back
Just
to it
call
while
the
you.
vote and we'll vote nay.
Yeah, well, no, we can, then allow him time to do it, so, okay?
Are we gonna vote on it now with the
No,
changes?
we'll vote on it
They have to stay so long? They're gonna-
after he presents the corrected map.
Okay.
Okay?
And basically, you're putting precinct 1 back the way it used to be before you made the.
And everything else stays the same?
Everything else that we've done here stays the same, except precinct 1 goes back to its original.
I
Okay?
can do that right now.
Okay, while you work on that, we're gonna go on to a couple more items.
Okay, we'll leave public comments for a little bit later. Okay, let me go to the consent items. I know we're missing the presentations, but those can wait a little bit. On the consent items, any consent item any member of the court wish to take out and discuss separately?
I've got item B as in boy, T as in Tom, V as in Victor, double B,
That item's been approved already.
which one?
V.
We already approved it.
When did we approve it?
When you were out?
Oh,
Okay, let's move
Okay.
on.
We'll explain it to you.
Which one was the
Okay.
other one?
double B, double C,
That'll teach you to get here on time.
double D, double E, double F,
Okay, double B, double C, double D, double E, double F?
and double H.
Okay, all the, okay?
And then, not W, but item UU, double U.
Double UU. Okay,
Triple C,
okay? Anything else?
Judge,
Yes.
table J
Okay,
on X, it should be December 5th. And table double N,
on X should be December 5th, okay? And table which one?
double N,
Double N as in Nancy? Got it. Okay.
and
N.
and
table double V.
Double who? Double V as in
V.
Victor?
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Do I hear a motion to approve consent items with the exception of item B, table item G, item T,
J.
J. Yeah, item J, to table? The table. Item T, item V, no, that's already been approved. Item double A through double H for discussion. Tabling double N, discussion double UU, table VV, pull out triple C. Do I hear a motion to approve all the items except for those that I mentioned?
So move.
By Commissioner Sanchez? Did I say double A?
Yeah, you did. I think it started with double B.
Double B through double F.
It was double A through,
No, double B through double F.
yeah, why double A?
You're saying
I said double A? I'm sorry, should be double B. Yeah,
Double H.
Right, got that one.
Right.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Sanchez, do I have a second? Second. By Commissioner Gatz, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed, carries.
I vote aye, except for double S. I have a conflict that I,
Okay, please note Commissioner Hernandez abstention on item double S. Double S. Okay, B, consideration authorization to approve a 60-month lease for a copier.
If you want to take that one and tee up together, the only reason I pulled these, and I had a question yesterday, Mayor Brewer called me to give me his input on the JP precinct lines, and he was talking about how budget, we can save money, and he said, he questioned, he goes, you know, on your copier leases, y'all do 60-month leases, but the life of a copier is 3 years probably max. And so I was wondering why we do a 60-month lease if in fact the copier gets traded out before the 60 months, or if the lifespan doesn't go that long.
Where's Mike? Mike Forbes? And I'll take up item T as well. Consideration authorization to approve 60-month lease for copier for Constable Precinct 6. You already taken away their... Yeah, we're going to save another $400 by taking away their copier.
What?
Nothing.
No, I brought those two items up together
Yeah, I
because of the lease period, and I didn't realize it was Constable 6, but we're still going to have an office there.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they merge or not.
Yeah, office, no copier. Go ahead. Mike?
These machines, the life expectancy exceeds 60 months.
It
We have
does?
some machines that are in-house over 60 months. Now, the maintenance is included with the machine, and that's covered in the 60-month lease as well, including supplies.
Okay, so you're saying Mayor Brewer was incorrect?
I don't know what he did, what machines, what contract. I mean,
Okay.
that's all speculation, but I know what we...
But these machines will last the 60 months, and they're covered with maintenance and everything.
Everything included, and they exceed 60 months, but we get the best price on a 60-month contract versus a 2 or 3 year contract. That's the best offer we get.
And if
Okay.
the machine breaks and doesn't work, they replace it and bring you
They
another one.
replace it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do I
Move
hear a
to
motion to
approve.
approve item B and T? Moved by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatz. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item AA, consideration approval of contract between Cameron County Department of Health.
No, we already approved AA.
We did?
Yes.
We'll take AA. All right. Okay, let me take double B through double H. I imagine they're all the same questions, Commissioner?
Not double B. Double B, I'm just, we're reappointing Mr. Brusiak?
Oh, to the Regional Water Authority Board? Yeah, unless you have another name.
No, I'm just wondering, has he always been the one, or do we get anyone else from northern part of the
I
county?
don't know.
or
He was there when I got here, so I don't know.
Okay.
And he's willing to
I'll-
serve, so.
I was just wondering. Move to approve.
By Commissioner Sanchez, do I
Second.
have a second by Commissioner Benavides? Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. And now, item C through double H, having to do with monthly reports. Commissioner?
The reason I asked to pull these is all the reports are coming in different, and I was wondering, do we have a reporting form, or is there a requirement on how this report should come in, legal,
Or Marta?
or Martha?
We discussed this last time, I think this came up, and I mentioned at that time that the auditor has the power to regulate how those reports are done, and I guess theoretically, they could all be the same. I don't know what her experience has been on this.
Well, the reason I asked, if we look at item double B, we get a list of each citation with the breakdown A through Z of all the payments for every single traffic case. If we look at item double D, it has totals on there, doesn't have the breakdown. And I'm wondering, what's the requirement on the reporting? Are we supposed to get the name of each individual? Or, I mean, how is this supposed to be done?
It is supposed to have the name of the individual along with the monies collected. We're working, the constables should now all be using the Odyssey program. They do have access to it. I spoke with IT, and our goal is, like I mentioned last time, to streamline and to get everybody reporting on the same format. That is the intent in using the Odyssey program. So we will continue to work with the constables. I
But
spoke to the
these are
IT.
the JP ones.
The JPs are also going to be on the Odyssey
Okay.
program as well, okay? But right now, the JPs are supposed to be, like I said, reporting the defendant name, the amount, the cause number, and everything. So they should be getting the reports off of the Easy Justice and the Net Data system.
Okay, so like item double D, this one does not have all the names. Is there another supplement that has them?
We received the same information that you have in the agenda packet. This is a summary report. It does not have the, when we get the monthly report from the JPs, it is a report that shows the case number, the defendant name, the amount collected, and the distribution of the funds that they have collected. So that is what we reconcile to. This report appears to be a summary report.
So what should we be getting, the summary or the one that has all the lists? 'Cause-
You should be getting the one that has the defendant name and the cost number
okay,
and the
so
funds
then
collected.
you wouldn't recommend that we approve item double D then?
I have not looked at it like that right now. I just looked at it right now, and I see that it is a summary, okay? So, you know, on those that do have a summary report, those can be tabled, and they can present the next
Okay.
one at the next meeting.
Martha, I'll ask you, on these, whenever they're up to be presented, can you kind of check off on them or advise us if they're not in compliance?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so I guess I'll move to approve item double C and double E.
That's it? And the other ones?
Well,
Or you want to take them one at a time?
the other ones aren't, those are the only ones to do with.
Three of them.
Well, yeah, but the other one, they don't have it, so I wouldn't move to approve that one. I
Okay,
move
so
to
you make a
table.
motion on item double C? No, I'm sorry.
Move to approve double C, double E, and table double D.
Okay, do I- motion by Commissioner Sanchez. One question. Of legal, would it be wrong if we approve the summary sheet anyway?
The informational aspect of what's on that is up to the auditor. And she is the one that knows what the legal requirements are on the reporting itself. So if she says a summary is insufficient for approval purposes coming to the court, then, I would agree with her. I mean, I think that's just the way it's supposed to be done.
So we'll just, the other two.
That particular one can be tabled, and we will ask the JP office to present a detailed report for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so that was a motion by Commissioner Sanchez. Do I have a second? Second. By Commissioner Gatz. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Which ones do you want to table? Do I hear a motion to table item double D?
So move.
By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Double F?
I pulled this one because it's transferring a maintenance individual from operation budget to juvenile budget. And I had gotten a letter from Marcelino. Marcelino, you want to come up and, I guess, give us your thoughts? Well, actually, this is Chief Ramirez's item, I guess.
Well, it's his item to transfer an employee from maintenance directly over to juvenile. Is
juvenile.
that correct? I guess we're trying to figure out, the same thing. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, come on up.
It's actually a two-part request. Part one would be simply the request for the M&O budget to be transferred over, to be inclusive of my overall budget, simply because I think that it would be better for me to be able to manage that in my efforts to be frugal with our expenditures. And as we spend funds on particular bulk items and things related to parts and services to our department, we would be able to build an inventory of supplies where I could more closely manage the use of those supplies and be able to stretch my dollars a little bit further. That's in relation to the actual budget. The part B of it would be the maintenance person. Actually, that person has already been placed at our department. At the time that the individual was placed there, I was told that that person would actually, effective on that particular date, would become my employee to be able to manage and use effectively throughout the department at all our facilities. And I guess my thought on that is, over the time that this individual has been there, it's been very easy to assess that by having a person there that I would be able to manage to oversee the general maintenance of the facilities, we've been able to do a whole lot of preventive measures that which is something I had been wanting to do for quite some time. We're able to create a master schedule where we do a lot of the preventive things like the filter, replacement of filters, going out to assess conditions of certain machineries to run our department, and just the overall effects of that on being able to do the level of prevention work that we had now been able to do that we never had done before, which ultimately, I think at least, keeps us from having to create bigger expenditures later because we have not been able to do some really good in-depth preventive stuff. I think the bigger picture results in saving the funds. As far as the position itself, that individual that currently is there now assigned to us, I think where the problem arises at times is that because I was of the impression that it was going to be our staff to be able to manage the schedule, and I'm into flex time. You know, sometimes I say, well, you know what, I need you not to come in till this time because I need you to work a little bit later because we've got certain functions or we have an audit coming and there's some things I need for you to address. We put him on-call status. Something goes wrong that can be addressed by this individual. We call him out and he's got to take care of business so we can keep operating. Those kinds of things. And that's kind of part of why I'm requesting this.
How long have you had him under your department, Chief?
About 3 years now.
3 years?
Yeah,
And
just a little bit of background. We used to have a lot of requests for service calls, and so multiple employees from the building maintenance
Would have to
division
go out
would
there.
have to go out. And so it was never the same individual, and then, you know, one individual would go, then 2 hours later it was a different individual, 2 hours later it was a different individual. So we all met about 3 years ago and said, look, the facility merits to have one full-time employee from the building maintenance department. It's better if the same employee is assigned. That way that employee familiarizes himself or herself with the facility, with the needs of the facility. They start their own inventory of supplies. That way they can already gauge, you know, the timing for the need of supplies. They can do preventive maintenance on the facility. And it's worked out, I think, a lot better. You know, Tommy can attest to that. What we didn't do, you know, because we were going to try that, and a short term turned into a long term. You know,
you didn't
3
shift
years.
him over in the
We
budget?
didn't shift, you know, the budget nor the employee, but that employee pretty much reports to Tommy or his staff on a daily basis. You know, takes orders from them. So this, you know, will just
Formalize
what we started a couple of years ago.
Shouldn't this be done as a budget amendment then?
Well, yeah.
Probably, yes. Yeah. I think if the court approves it, we'll have to come back with a budget amendment. We're going to have to amend the salary schedule as well for building maintenance and for Tommy's
Yeah,
department.
but why would we want to move money from the budget, maintenance operation budget, if it's already there? I mean, it's already dedicated to those buildings. I mean, it's just a procurement process, isn't it?
Yeah, we're just so that Tommy can have control over that budget.
Well, but I
you know,
know
we did something similar because we had the same issues with the sheriff's office. And so I think last year or the year before, we moved that budget and personnel to the sheriff department. And so that it could be under the sheriff.
So the
department
maintenance
control.
at the sheriff's department is controlled by the sheriff and reports to the sheriff?
Yes.
Well, maybe we should do that in La Feria. They've got a maintenance man that is always in that building. You know, I remember Rudy was there. Might be a good idea to put him under the judge too.
I think when you start speaking to the magnitude of the operations, and then this is not just a one small facility or something like that, it's a much bigger, larger scale of operation. And so it makes a difference, that being said. But as far as, yes, the procurement process and such, that doesn't change. That's for anything, any expenditure that you have. But I think part of, you know, we meet.
Well, and let me be even more specific. My concern is that, you know, we went through a procurement process for some major equipment recently, and then on a couple of different occasions, we've come back with POs without authorization that we've had to approve at this court because however the planning of the installation of that equipment was occurring, you know, there was something that wasn't done. And we had to.
Oh, that was the
That
walk-in coolers
freezer,
that
cooler.
the,
Been a couple of instances.
That was a miscommunication, obviously, that took place, and because there was a misunderstanding of what that total package entailed. And that was not, and that's a good example,
Well,
actually.
that's what I'm saying, you know, I mean, I'm just looking at some of those, and that's not the only one that we've
Right.
had, you know.
Well, and that's a good example, is just because ultimately, we're the ones that are trying to get the equipment that's necessary to run the facility, and then you're working with a whole nother entity to try to make that happen. And if we're of the we know what we want and what we're trying to get out of the RFP and the package of all the itemized things that need to be in place.
so
And
the
yet-
communication is what caused that issue that, so you're saying if he was directly under you, you could have done the procurement
Well-
and made sure everything was done right?
Yes and no. You know, in that kind of situation, it's a matter of, you know, you read something, I read something, your interpretation may be a little different from mine. And so if we're not meeting together to do the project together, I guess, hand in hand, I'm just simply telling you what we want and what our needs are and what we project the costs are going to be, and then you put it out for bid. And then the individual that's going to go out, it's a separate agency almost that's going out to do the process, their interpretation of what is needed or wanted may be a little bit different on how they interpret whatever's there. So as a result of all that, we ended up with the installation. We're thinking it's going to be a complete job. Oh, what's the word for that?
Turnkey?
Turnkey. Well, our interpretation of turnkey is that it's ready to use. Well, turnkey didn't turn out that way. Turnkey is that there was an important missing component in that. That was the electrical side. I assume it should be there. And so as a result of some of that, we end up with what we expected and what actually wasn't right. So now these people are coming to install this huge project that we have saved a fortune to do, and we're ready for the thing to be ready to use, and they say, oh, by the way, the electrical part was not included. Well, why not? And so now we're dealing with, and they're already in the midst of installing the equipment and getting it ready. It really should have been a part of the whole process, but it was omitted at the time. And really, the essence of what I'm asking for here, again, we meet on a monthly basis to go over in detail every nickel that we spent. And then we try to figure out how we not only stretch that nickel, but how can we save a nickel here and there and accumulate some funds to do other things. And it would be a lot easier for me to be able to do that if I have a better hand on managing that part of my budget, because now I have very little ability to manage that part of my budget.
Marcelino, what are your thoughts?
Good afternoon, Judge. Good afternoon, Commissioner. I think the main thing is kind of lack of communication. I know the issue was with the walk-in cooler, and when I brought the electrician on place, they finished it up as far as their side. The only thing that the installers who installed the walk-in freezer, they had a problem with the controls. They never couldn't find what the problem was. That's when I received an email that their walk-in freezer was for several months without using. So that's when I called everybody, come on board and fix everything. We had to come to bring the same persons who installed the walk-in cooler. And talking about the maintenance, what I recommend, if I will take the maintenance on the facility, fortunately, I need to oversee the maintenance technician, ensure that he is doing the right maintenance. Because we also, let's say, simple sample, if we would like to replace a water heater, he doesn't have the capability to give us a list of the parts.
The guy that's there now.
The guy who's there right now. This is my concern. Fortunately, we need to oversee what he's doing, how he's doing, and ensure that everything is doing correct.
Either way, he needs
he needs help.
Your
And we've been
supervision.
providing help every time.
We still need maintenance. They're a critical part of everything. That can't go away.
There's another aspect to this too, Judge. Excuse me for interrupting, but we have a personnel issue here. Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, but all of the people on your budget are under the juvenile probation employment policies and procedures, are they not?
State funded?
And so that is a different set of policies and procedures than the Cameron County personnel policies and procedures. None of your people are covered by civil service, are they? But I expect, I don't know this for a fact, but Marcelino, maybe you can confirm this man that we're talking about transferring is presently been here more than a year. He's survived probation periods. He's now a civil service covered employee, is he not?
He's been an employee of the county for many years.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying.
No, I think his point is that once he goes over to yours, he's no longer protected by civil service.
Not if he's totally transferred.
Exactly.
So, you know, unless there's a real dire need to strip him of that coverage and put him under your own personnel policies and procedures, that would be, you know, we're talking about a man's personnel rights here. You know, so that's my only comment.
I think if you asked him, he'd be happy to surrender that. But again, of course, and that's another issue that has to be considered, obviously. And do we still need maintenance? Absolutely, because I mean they have the ability, and we depend a lot on Marcelino and maintenance. It's not so much that I'm saying that we don't need Marcelino anymore. We still need him for all the big major things that happen over there.
Well, I just, you know, I can't support this based on what I'm hearing from either one of y'all. I just think there appears to be not a real good line of communication. And I think that needs to get better in terms of that. But transferring some guy he's still going to have to supervise because he may not be familiar enough with the maintenance issues, and that's my concern. That's my concern. And my concern would be I wouldn't want to take an individual that is currently on civil service out of it. And just, I don't know how many years this individual has been there, but, you know, I mean, he's paid his dues to be part of that system.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. How about, and does that include the budget? Because I said there was two parts to this.
Yeah, the budget too. I mean, why give you the budget? All right, y'all just do a better job of talking with each other. And you know what? We can revisit it come budget time next time. Okay?
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to deny? Or you want to table it? By Commissioner Garza. Do I have a second by Commissioner Hernandez to table? Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Item double G. I think Commissioner Sanchez wanted. Okay, double G's okay?
Double H.
Okay, let me hear a motion to approve double G, because I think I singled that one out.
No, you didn't.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Did I take double G out
No,
to table? I mean, to discuss separately?
no. You
No?
can if you want to.
No, I'm okay with, okay. Double H?
On double H, I don't know what the commissioner, his concern is, but there is a mistake on the spelling of the amount on compensation. Javier Mendez is aware of it, and he's going to fix
He's
it.
going to fix it? Okay, subject to that fixing?
What is the correct amount?
535, not to exceed 535.
It's
535
in
one
parentheses.
and 4 something in the other one.
Yes.
So it's 535.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve with the correct number of $535?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa, do I have a second? By Commissioner Hernandez, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Double U, U.
I think it was Dan.
What's dealing with a difficult problem seminar, Martha?
It's a office management program that our office manager will, I'm requesting your approval to attend. The only cost incurred is the registration fee, which is in our budget.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Are you sure it's only one day? You could use a month, but okay. All right. Triple C, JP 22 staff, one court coordinator to travel to Austin. This is back again? We're on Triple C regarding the Vital Statistics Conference. You pulled that one out, Commissioner. We discussed it last time.
What about Double H? Did you already do that one? Did you look at the contract on Double H? The numbers were
Yeah,
wrong.
they already fixed it.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, that was my only issue.
Yeah. It's at 5:35. We
Okay.
assume that.
And it had the name of another person that was going to be an employee paying their own taxes?
I didn't see that.
Look at the contract, because it has the name of one gentleman being given the contract, and then it has a female, I think, saying that they're going to pay their own taxes, and I had no idea what that was about.
Okay.
That would probably be a
Javier will correct.
subcontract.
Laura Taylor, because we use
Right.
the contract, so we just put in the names, but
Okay.
we'll make that correction as well.
Well, that's fine. I just saw those, it seemed like the contract was wrong, so I didn't want to approve it if it was incorrect.
Okay.
Okay.
Triple C.
This one we tabled last time because this is the one where,
This is on the vital statistics.
right, it's a vital statistics conference, and the guy from Austin, last time he came down and gave everybody a training, and so I had asked Dolly from Judge Gonzalez's office to contact him to see if he would come down again, so we'd have the benefit of everybody getting the training, not just one.
Do you want to table that?
I moved to table.
Moved by Commissioner Sanchez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Okay. Mr. Rios, are you ready? Let's go back to, that takes care of all the consent items. Let's go back to item 4I. Lights, camera,
As
Action.
action.
suggested by Commissioner Sanchez, what we did was basically created JP1. We reconstructed it, and it's based on the lines that were in existence before, except that this area up here, we did put that in JP3, which is a northern part of the park in that area right up here. And the gold line, the yellow line here, is basically a iteration of your old JP precincts there, except for that northern part that we put
So
back.
precinct 1 stays as it was, and that still consolidates.
With the exception of Tommy
Except-
Park.
except that
Except for
part up
Tommy
there.
Park, which goes into Rio Hondo and San Benito.
That's correct.
That's correct?
And then the other four are as we had proposed
As
to
they
you
were.
earlier today.
All right, gotcha. Tell us about clearance. Do we have to?
Oh, okay. I will tell you this, that under normal circumstances, this may be kind of late to adopt something like this, but these are not normal circumstances. The courts have moved back the election schedule. We're 2 days before filing period is supposed to start, and we don't have a congressional or legislative plan or a Senate plan. So the court basically suspended the election code and moved everything. Filing is not going to start probably until around the 28th.
So we have time to submit this
Oh,
plan?
yes, no, we have time this, and quite frankly, your election administrator is prohibited from drawing the new voting precincts until we get the state until we get the federal courts to order the new congressional lines.
Anyway.
This is plenty of time, so that he can get going on his voting precincts. This past Monday, the three-judge court in D.C. denied the state's motion for summary judgment to have elections using their plan. So this Monday, which is in 3 days, we're going back to court, and within 8 to 10 days, we're going to get a new federal court order ordering the new congressional the districts in place.
But that had
So
an
if you're
impact
gonna
on
do
this,
you
though.
can do it now.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, you've got plenty of time.
okay. All right, Commissioner, you said something about JPs in the future, about doing something. You want to elaborate on that? I missed it.
You had mentioned on your list,
Yeah,
right now by doing this, we're gonna end up having 3 JPs in precinct 3.
Right.
Eventually, probably in the next election cycle,
would be,
we would want to eliminate 1 from precinct 3 and add them to precinct 2. And the reason being is right now,
okay, hold on. You're talking about eliminating a San Benito JP and moving that slot?
either San Benito or Rio Hondo, whoever, those 2 guys would run, and whoever wins
Right,
would be the judge.
right.
We can designate at that point as a commissioner's court where they're going to hold court. So we can say, you're going to have a court in Rio Hondo, and you're going to have one in San Benito.
But you still have a JP in San Benito.
Right.
Okay, so you could essentially have 2 JPs in San Benito.
Well, if there are 2, one of them's going to have to go to Rio Hondo and hold court, because we can designate where they have court.
So we're not eliminating any JPs with that plan, are we?
With this plan here, not right now. What we would do 2 years from now, see, right now, the one that's up, he's the odd man out. The other 2 that have been elected have 4-year terms.
I understand.
In order to have staggered terms, we need to let them finish out.
Right.
But the idea would be in 2 years, when they're up, then eliminate one position in 3, and then shift it over to precinct 2, so we'd have 3 judges in Brownsville.
Okay, so, but the net effect would be 0 reduction in JPs, right?
At that point, yes.
Well, why wouldn't you want to consolidate Rio Hondo and San Benito JPs?
That's what we're doing by this.
Yeah, but in 2014,
Right.
Right.
We would consolidate them in 2014.
right?
When those 2 that are up, only one would win. Kind of like what we're doing with the
I understand,
constables
but
now.
What about the other JP in San Benito? Leave that one alone?
No, he would be, that's going to be one precinct. That's going to be their new precinct. All 3 JPs are going to be in that precinct for the next 2 years. 2 years from now, when they're up, we would take one position and shift it to Brownsville. So the 2 that are there would both get to run.
Right.
One of them would win. That one stays, and the one that's running right now would also be there. So you'd have 2.
And how do you fix the Brownsville issue?
Because we're going to take one from over there and bring them to Brownsville.
Okay, so then San Benito ends up with 1 JP.
Well, there'd be 2 JPs between San Benito and Rio Hondo. There'd be 2.
Okay?
And then there'd be the extra one we would put over here in Brownsville.
Okay, so in essence, you're eliminating a JP in San Benito and bringing them to Brownsville,
We're eliminating a JP out of what's going to be precinct 3,
correct?
and we're going to shift them to Brownsville.
Okay?
Now, I can't say we're eliminating San Benito because that judge may be from San Benito, but sitting in Rio Hondo,
So,
or vice
But
versa.
at the end of the day, you end up with 1 less JP?
In that precinct, one
No,
less.
but countywide.
No, they're going to be in Brownsville. We need,
So you end up with the same number of JPs? With 10,
right,
with 10.
shifting that one to Brownsville.
Okay. Well, that's for another day, but I will tell
Right.
you that I would have much rather eliminated a JP now in San Benito, consolidated Rio Hondo, San Benito, and then creating in 2014 the San Benito JP that we're eliminating in Brownsville.
Well,
It's kind of the same.
no, it's not, because then both JPs are going to run at the same time. We need them to be staggered. See, in 2014, if we eliminate the one that's there now, in 2014, both of those run again.
Why?
So they run at this, because that's when they're up.
You move it to Brownsville. You eliminate that JP spot and move it to Brownsville.
And then you'd only leave one over there?
You leave 1 in San Benito, just like you're doing with the constables.
Only one in Rio Hondo and San Benito? Then Rio Hondo wouldn't have a JP at all.
Well, using that argument, they may not have a constable either.
They're going to have the same deputies.
Well, I know that, but we're not talking about deputies.
No, you want to eliminate 2 JPs out of there is what you're saying.
Yeah, through consolidating.
I
But
would-
see,
I
what
would
you're saying-
say-
the argument you just said right now is that you're assuming that person will not win.
No, what I'm saying is right now, when we do this merge, there's going to be 3 judges in precinct 3.
Right.
If we wait till the next election cycle to eliminate one there and shift them to Brownsville, then JP3 will have staggered elections for their 2 judges.
Okay, so all we're doing is shifting a JP from San Benito, eliminating that slot.
From precinct 3.
Right, and moving
to
that slot
Brownsville.
to Brownsville.
But not for 2 years.
For 2 years. So in
Right.
2014, you'll have 2 JPs running in Brownsville.
Right. No, you'd have 3 in Brownsville.
No, but 2 running.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, I got you. I understand that. All right.
And then it goes from having 90,000 per judge to 60,000 per judge.
Okay, so the JPs that are here in the audience understand that in 2014, the proposal will be to consolidate the Rio Hondo JP with a San Benito JP.
Well, no, we're going to consolidate them
Well,
now.
I'm talking about precincts.
Right, we're going to eliminate a precinct or one of the positions and have them run in Brownsville.
Correct. But not until 2014.
Right, so that they're staggered.
I understand that. Okay, all right, I understand that. Okay. Can we vote something that would be binding to this court in 2014?
No, we can't do it.
No, you're not.
All we can
Not
do is
about-
change the lines right now.
Yeah, he's not doing anything right now. Well, no, I mean, we're talking about 2014. Right, that's why I said proposed.
Right,
in
that's
2014.
the plan to solve the adding a judge to Brownsville without adding money to the budget.
Correct, I understand that. Okay. So we're saving all the money for the county from precinct 3. Cameron County Commissioners, precinct 3. No, it's also affecting the La Feria on the JP issue? Yeah.
No, because precinct 5 is now going to be merged with precinct, what was 7? That's my precinct. Right now, I have 2 constables.
That's your precinct.
Well, we might end up going to 2. Who knows? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'll make my comment brief. It seems like ever since the get-go, before precincts were mentioned, it was always precinct 4 that was being mentioned for elimination. But as you said, you want to put the position in Brownsville. If it's such a rush to do it, why are you saying wait till 2014 when the term's up to do that?
Because we don't want to eliminate a judge that's in office. We want to let them run for it, and whoever the people decide gets elected.
Okay, I understand that. But if you're going for feasibility, like what we assume we are, if my term is up in 3 years, because everybody here knows, because I've made no quorums about it, it's always been precinct 4 for elimination. It's always been precinct 4 for elimination.
For consolidation, not elimination.
Well,
it's going to remain 4, actually.
Well, to me, same difference. Elimination, because as soon as mine was going to end, that position was going to go to Brownsville.
Well, no, because you're going to get to run for re-election, Judge.
No, I understand that.
There's still going to be a position
Yeah,
there.
I understand that.
If you're assuming you're not going to win,
No,
then that's your
That's
assumption.
not what I'm assuming. What I'm saying is, it's always been, okay, let's get rid of the JP4 and move that slot to Brownsville. My thing is, if you're in such a hurry to move something to Brownsville, why are we waiting 3 years?
Because we still have to pay out the salaries. Well, if we eliminate you or Judge Julian Sanchez, we still have to pay your salary out for 3 more years. You know that.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Okay? So it doesn't make sense for us to eliminate one of your positions and still pay you the salary. We might as well get you to earn the salary. But if we eliminate Judge Garza's position, who's up right now, then what happens is you and Julian's position runs at the same time. And we need to have them staggered. That's why we're waiting for that go-around when you'll be able to run for re-election. You're assuming that you're going to lose, but what I'm saying is, as a commissioner's court, we can say you're going to have court in Rio Hondo, and whoever wins, whether it's him or yourself, they'll have court in Rio Hondo, because we have that authority as this body to direct that. So Rio Hondo's not going to lose a JP. They're still going to have a JP.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is you're worried about the staggering the positions. If you create 3 in Brownsville, are you not going to have to run 2 at the same time? At one point?
Yes.
Or
Yeah,
or
you have
an
to.
election every
But
other
you're
year?
still going to have a staggered position.
Okay, but what I'm saying is you're saying that's a necessity to have that. How's that going to help? In Brownsville with 3 slots, you're going to run every other year? That's
No, one year it'll be 1 person, and the other year it'll be 2. But they're staggered. You don't have everybody running at the same time.
I guess I'm just having
Okay.
All right.
Do we need the lights back on? Okay, Roland, where's Roland? Mr. Rios, where'd he go? Okay.
The only other thing I would suggest, Judge, if you vote on this motion, you may want to include a clause to authorize you to sign a resolution consummating the motion. Talk to your county attorney so that we can make sure we have the right wording on the.
Well, whatever motion occurs, we will do whatever resolution you prepare for us to sign. Okay?
I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve the current map on the wall, and also allowing for a couple of minor changes, because if the precinct lines aren't quite right, Roger will have to come in and kind of tinker with it a little bit. We did that when we did the boundaries for our precincts.
Okay.
And also allowing for a staff attorney to create the resolution to bind us to this agreement.
Okay.
I'll second
And a
that.
motion by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Sanchez. Any further discussion?
Yes, Judge, I just want to say that while I appreciate the accommodations to Precinct 1, I still feel that overall across the county, it would not be beneficial. So that is my statement. I will remain with my stance that I am against this and vote
Okay.
nay.
Please note it. Well, we haven't asked for the vote yet, but okay. The only comment I would Commissioner make Garza? is that, I mean, I have a difficult time supporting eliminating these folks because it can be misconstrued by community, and I hope it isn't, that some folks might be disenfranchised to their law enforcement that they have available today. And, that's it. Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? Roger?
Of course.
Well, I'm sure that's part of his motion, is second to authorize you to continue that process, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Motion, any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Item carries. Okay, public comments? Let me see who's up. Ernesto Elizondo and, for Aliam LLC? Ernest? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners.
Yeah, 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I'm representing a company called Altum LLC. They're from Tampico. They just came here from Tampico, and they've been here for a couple of months. And what they're selling and providing for the Cameron County is electric saver boxes. It's something that's been around since 1995 when they first patented it. Basically what it is, it's a conductor or capacitor, which is like a battery, and it goes into your on your electrical breakers. What they does is it helps save electricity, and when you need it, it comes out of there for extra savings for the county buildings. What I wanted to do is, if possible, test one out in one of your buildings, and for say 3 months, 6 months, or a year, y'all can see how it works. If it's working in proper condition, saving you anywhere from 6% to 25% of electricity on your bills, then we can go ahead and forward and see if we can put them in other buildings. Of course, this may not work in all your buildings, but it may work in certain buildings that have conductive motors, say, for instance, dishwasher machines or laundry or air conditioners, which I'm sure almost all the buildings have. And if there's any questions, you can ask me.
Okay, well, let me ask, yeah, let me just get with Mr. Garcia, Mr. Pulveda, and organize something and see if we can do a test on something.
With Marcelino.
Thank you.
And with Marcelino.
With Marcelino Ibarra, maintenance.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you, Judge.
Okay,
Thank you,
sir.
Commissioners.
Any other public comment?
Come on, I'm not mad at you.
Nope, okay. Presentation, discussion, and possible action to initiate Odyssey Case Management Software JP module.
That was a quick public comment. Just 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Which one?
That one. ¿Se fueron todos? Huh? You want to change? Give me my pointer back in direction. Hey, you want to change? I mean, I'll sit over there, you know.
Thank you.
Buffer.
Judge, Commissioners, we're here today to give you all an update and to talk about Phase 3, the JP module that Tyler Technologies is working on. It'll be a brief presentation that'll talk about where we're at with the first 2 phases, and then go into the JP module phase and give you all an update of how we're going to go about and starting that process here in the next month or 2 and into all of next year. Here with Tyler is Chris Keldner and his colleague, Brian Williams, and they're going to do the presentation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Judge?
How long is your presentation? How long is your presentation?
It will not last very long.
Doesn't tell me anything.
5 minutes?
Okay, got it.
Go.
All right. Very good. Again, this is the 3rd phase of Odyssey. All right, I'm on a timer. Nice. 3rd and final phase of Odyssey. We've wrapped up the first 2 phases. First one being the civil courts, second one being integrated courts and justice. We're now on the JP phase. This is a very rough outline, kind of the meat of the content for the presentation today. The actual kickoff for the JPs is scheduled for next Tuesday. It will be the Odyssey case management system for JPs, and we have an approximate go-live date of December of next year, so December 2012. And there's a note on there that the project team, so Tyler and Cameron IT, will work together to build the full schedule. All right? This is what Odyssey does in a nutshell. It kind of completes the integration of all of the courts. It gets everybody onto a single unified database. Instead of having multiple data systems, we'll now have one. A lot of these items that are listed here were part of the original reason, I believe, behind Cameron County going with Odyssey. To get through a phase, these are generally the items that have to happen. We plan, we prepare, we train, we test, and then we go live. And you can see in each of those different subject areas what those entail. And to give a better perspective, we'll get into the actual timings for each of these. So roughly, through the first quarter of next year, we'll be establishing scope and preparing, all the way through the go-live roughly of the 4th quarter of next year, and then we'll work on the support transition the end of next year and the beginning of 2013.
So go live would be like October 1st?
It's probably going to be closer to December.
December?
Yeah, closer to that time period. These are excerpts from the slide presentation that we'll actually be giving to the JPs next week. I wanted to highlight just a handful of those for you all here. There's no reason to go through all of this, but it's there for review. We've got some key...
Now, let me just tell you, you might get opposition by a couple of them that are on a different program.
Okay.
But you need to make sure you implement it with everybody, and if there's issue, you need to let us know.
Yeah, our understanding...
Is it possible for us to go to one program? Shouldn't we make that decision to make it much easier? Just have one, either easy justice?
We already did. They're implementing it. This is the implementation. I'm just telling him if he has problems with some of the JPs not accepting the implementation of this, to let us know.
But I'm talking about the easy justice net data, that's been done?
This right here is going to eliminate those two, both of those programs.
Good.
Everybody will be
But
on the
you're probably going to get some...
It's probably good that this body goes on the record asking for all the JPs to be on that one system. Because I don't know.
No, we ordered it. They don't have a choice. What I'm telling him is if anybody is giving you opposition and not wanting to do it, you need to let us know immediately. Don't kind of let time go by and say, well, they didn't want to. I mean, it has to happen. We voted on it. We've spent taxpayer money. We've issued bonds to pay for this. I mean, it's not a choice. So you need to let us know. I'm just letting you know because in the past we've had people say, well, you know, we didn't bring it back because of whatever. I'm like, if you don't let us know, we can't do anything about it. So
Understand.
Okay.
Clearly understand. We understand the scope is for all of the JPs to go on to Odyssey. So that's
Countywide.
countywide. Regardless of their current data system, the move is to Odyssey.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's your job to make it happen.
It's my job in conjunction with the county to make it happen. Yeah.
Well, we can only enforce it if you tell us it's not being followed.
Rest assured, if we get opposition, if we get pushback, if we get people not accomplishing homework assignments, if they're not doing what they're asked to do, it'll get escalated.
Okay.
The county can't afford additional delays because we're trying to coax people into coming. The decision's been made, we're moving.
Perfect.
That concludes my presentation. Did I make time?
Good job.
4 minutes and 39 seconds.
Motion to acknowledge.
So move.
By Commissioner Sanchez, do I have a second by Commissioner Garza? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item B, presentation on county auditor efforts on financial oversight improvements.
How long is your presentation?
We can make it very short.
You didn't answer the question.
We can make it very, very short.
Less than 5 minutes?
Yes.
Give her 5.
Judge Commissioners, I had requested Sergio Villasana, our Assistant County Auditor, who's also a CPA in our office, who is in charge of going out to the different county departments and conducting audits. He gets a crew together and takes out auditors with him to do field reviews. And I asked him to do a brief presentation to Commissioners Court. And if the court will recall, we sent out another email regarding the cash counts that our office had done in the field offices this year. And he will go over this presentation and go over some of our statutory oversight and what our goal is for this coming year.
I'll try to keep it short. Okay. The purpose of the presentation, as Martha mentioned, was to inform the commissioners of the Auditor's Office financial oversight and improvement efforts. The presentation will cover current results and future plans on improving financial operations oversight. Okay, just some background on the county auditor's duties. The county auditor serves as a check on financial operations of other county offices and has certain record-keeping, budgeting, and financial oversight responsibilities. Just to go into a little bit in each duty, what each duty kind of entails. The county auditor's office has a variety of record-keeping duties. A general summary of that is financial record-keeping duties include maintaining a general set of books showing all county transactions relating to accounts, contracts, indebtedness, receipts, and disbursements. Additional record-keeping duties include, but not limited to, keeping a register of all warrants issued by judges or clerks on county treasury, maintaining an account for each county district or state officer authorized to collect money that belongs to the county, keep account of all monies accruing at other county offices. The county auditor also serves on the county as the county budget officer and prepares revenue and expense estimates for Commissioners Court budget process. This presentation will focus on the county auditor's efforts on improving financial operations oversight. Financial operation oversight consists of a variety of duties. Generally speaking, the county auditor is responsible for all books and records of the county relating to county finances. Additional oversights and duties include, but not limited to, reviewing and examining collection reports of county offices made to the Commissioners Court, serving as a check on treasurer record keeping of deposit funds, examining and approving all claims, bills, and accounts against the county, examining all monies accruing at other county offices, and making monthly and annual reports to Commissioners Court and to the district judges. So the county auditor's office first step to improving financial operations oversight is basically meeting with county offices and educating county staff on reporting requirements and deadlines. In addition, we will educate on internal controls of cash receipts, and we will increase our communications to the Commissioners Court. Benefits of the current plan will lead to compliance with reporting requirements under Local Government Code Section 114. One of the benefits of complying with this local government code is having...
Let me interrupt you right there. You're saying will lead to compliance. So right now we're not in compliance? Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. As far as compliance strictly into reports being submitted on time, the statute clearly states that all reports should be submitted by the 5th of the month, at least to the auditor's office and to the commissioner's court. It is my understanding that reports weren't being submitted by that timeline.
Right, and that's part of what I questioned when I first came about different reports being submitted. But like the report this morning that we got, that we discussed, or I guess this afternoon, from one of the JP courts that wasn't correct. What this says here is that y'all are supposed to approve those reports or verify them?
Right, we're supposed to verify those reports on a quarterly basis that are submitted to the commissioner's court.
Okay.
And so
we haven't been doing that?
If they're submitted monthly, we're reviewing the reports monthly, but we're in the transition phase, I would say, because the reports weren't being submitted to commissioner's court. So as we're incurring additional responsibilities, we have to find a way to implement it to our daily operations as an office.
What do you mean additional responsibilities?
Well, the fact that these reports weren't being submitted to commissioner's court, all we were doing was reviewing our monthly reports. But now it seems that we would have to also report that these reports are being reviewed.
Okay, so before they were being submitted, y'all just wouldn't review them?
No, that's not a true statement. We actually did review them.
Okay, so then what are the additional duties that you're talking about?
Well, for example, there is no constable report. One of what we've done is actually...
There used to be no constable report.
No.
So you wouldn't review them?
Exactly.
Well, that's what I said, and you said that was incorrect.
I thought you were referring to the JP reports.
No, I'm just saying the reports that hadn't been submitted before, that are now being submitted, that's the additional work you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So, once again, what I was saying about as far as establishing reporting deadlines, by holding these officers accountable to report on a timely basis, basically the officer will be inclined to commence depositing their collections daily or on a more timely basis. Daily deposits should lead to the maximization of interest revenue and reduce the risk of loss of cash.
Let me ask you something, Sergio. You as an auditor's office, you can require that the collecting offices deposit daily, like through an armored service, can't you? Can't you put those rules in place?
That is correct. But actually having the staff do it is a different animal. We can't really go out there and just watch making sure that they're doing their daily deposits.
If you require, as the auditor's office, to say, any office that collects money, we're going to set up armored service, because I know there's a lot of offices that do, but there's some that don't, that they actually take the money to the bank themselves. Isn't there a way that you can implement a requirement that they actually use the armored service?
We do have armored car services.
But it's optional, it's not mandatory, right?
I'm not aware of that.
And that's what I'm asking. Can you make it mandatory as the auditor?
We can require them to, we have actually required all JP offices specifically to make daily deposits. We have advised Commissioner's Court and advised the JPs also in their field reviews where it is a recommendation and they are required to make daily deposits. However, not all of them are making daily deposits. Now, they do have access to armored car, and it has been recommended to them to use armored car.
Okay. Bruce, as the auditor, legally, do they have the authority to require that those deposits be made through the armored car service?
I would have to look at it specifically, but my gut tells me yes. And the reason why I say that is because ultimately the auditor is responsible for keeping track of all of this stuff and making recommendations to all elected officials who account for money on how they do it. And getting it in the bank is essential to properly accounting for it. So,
well, I know the statute says that they're supposed to deposit with the treasurer daily.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about forcing the use of armored car service versus
forcing them to do what they don't want to do may be another issue. She could, I still say that she has the power to issue rules and regulations.
And that's what I'm talking about, that
And
everybody.
she could say that. She could say, use this armored car service. Now, how do we enforce that? Well, that would have to come from the Commissioner's Court, and, and we talk about, real muscle when you're talking about
But
that.
until she sets it up, we can't enforce it, is what I'm saying.
I would have to agree with that, I mean.
It's part of her rules.
See, this isn't a matter of discretion. These are ministerial duties to account. This isn't a matter of how they do the work of their office. This is something that they must do every month, by the 5th, as Sergio was just saying. So I think with a rule, we've talked about this a little bit. I don't know whether Martha's been working on any rules like that.
And that's why I was asking if she's
But
done that or
I
not.
would be more than happy to be involved in a comprehensive rule and regulation making, if that's what it comes down to get everyone in compliance so we don't have compliance issues.
Right.
And everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to do when, and it's uniform, so that you're not getting summaries instead of properly detailed reports, and she's getting the proper detailed reports as well.
Right. So maybe if y'all can put those rules and regulations together with Bruce's assistance, it'll give us the ability to enforce what y'all need done.
Hold accountable.
Right.
We should have had this presentation before the audience left.
Okay. Going to go ahead and move forward. During fiscal years 2010 and 2011, a listing of offices above were visited by assistant auditors, and a variety of financial reviews were performed. I'm not going to go into too much detail what kind of reviews they were, but basically we went out there and checked on their cash receipt procedures, on some of their disbursement procedures. We went over local government code section 114 as far as reporting requirements with certain offices. And we performed a significant amount of unannounced cash counts. And so I guess I'd rather go over the highlights of our efforts. First one, Justice of the Peace online credit card payments. I went out there and looked at their procedures of the way they're posting credit card payments. And basically, we've been able to fully automate the posting of payments for online payment users.
For all of them?
No, it's just for the Easy Justice users. Easy Justice. The automation allows JP staff to have more free time to perform other duties and allows for defense to receive their credit payments daily. Prior to automating online credit card payments, the amount of unposted credit card payments was $49,554. As of September 30th, 2011, the remaining amount of unposted payments is $4,030. That's a net change of $45,000.
And that was, the payments were being made, they just weren't being pulled into the, now let me ask you something about that. Is there a way, because I think the way that they're doing it is, there's, I don't want to call it PayPal, but like a merchant service company that the county contracts with. And so the person paying with a credit card can go online and pay their ticket, but then it's up to the court to go in and pull the money, is that correct?
That's how it used to be.
And how is it now?
Now you go online and basically it kind of searches the database of all the JPs on Easy Justice and looks for all your outstanding tickets based on certain criteria. You select on those cases, make your payment, and then it automatically posts into Easy Justice.
But you don't have the ability, or the public doesn't, to walk into a JP court with a credit card in their hand, swipe it and pay, right?
Probably not. I'm not familiar with exactly what kind of equipment the JPs have, but I'm sure they can process in-house credit card payments.
From what I've seen, the way they're doing it is when someone goes in, the clerk actually goes online to the website and does the function for the individual, prints their receipt for them.
Mm-hmm.
But the clerk is actually doing something that the individual can do online from anywhere. And so I'm wondering, is there a way that maybe through this new system we can implement that when someone comes in, they can actually take the payment? And the reason that came up is I had someone recently call me, and they had gone to the tax office to get a copy of their registration that they had renewed, because I guess they lost their receipt. And the copy was going to be, I think, $1 or $2, but they were charged $3 to pay with a credit card. And they said, hey, you know, it's illegal to charge a fee to use a credit card, especially when it's only $1. You know, it's like a 300% markup to use my debit card.
Right.
And so I was wondering, is there anything we can do to avoid that cost to the citizens or the public when they come in and pay, that they don't have to go through like that type of situation?
I know that under the SCOFLA program that the tax office is implementing, their plan is to set up kiosks in the different main buildings so that the defendants can go in and pay and use their credit card.
Right, but I mean, the tax office, if you go to the tax office, you can swipe a card. Because I was in the La Feria Annex last week, and they have the little swiper there. But if you go to the JP office, they actually have to go online and key everything in and make a payment, like on a PayPal. And I'm wondering, if we're collecting money in the tax office, why can't we do it in the JP office?
Because the JP contracted out with a company to do it.
But do we have the
Not JP,
ability?
The Texas Assessor Collector, we contracted for the Texas Assessor Collector to have that ability.
So we could do the same thing
Why not?
with the JPs? Okay. Well, I wasn't sure how it was done, because in one office you can swipe, in another one you can't. It didn't make sense.
And the charge is kind of like, it's called the Bank of America charge.
The bank, the one that got rejected?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I guess to continue on the JPs, one of our efforts was to have them start submitting reports timely in compliance with Local Government Code Section 114. On September, for the reports of September 2011, we received basically almost all JPs by the deadline. So we received really good cooperation from the JP offices. JPs have also commenced submitting reports to Commissioners Court for review. We will continue to work to establish a uniform and proper reports for your all's review.
Can those rules that we were talking about include doing that?
Well, that's statute. They have to.
But do you need a rule also, or a request or something, or not?
Maybe a rule to do it electronically, because I was talking to Judge Adam Gonzalez from La Feria, and he was driving up here, I think Monday, to drop off 14 copies of all of the breakdown of the citations. And so maybe we can do that to be an electronic report rather than a hard copy for our agenda.
That's the same thing I heard from the constables.
We've been talking about that for a long time.
You know, like, why do we have to make 14? Why do we have to drive them over there? You know, and maybe it's a statute, but we can help with that, maybe.
If it's a rule regulation that y'all make it to be an electronic report, maybe? Because y'all get it electronically, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, maybe we can get it the same way.
Okay.
Easier.
Okay.
All right, move on.
Okay, to continue, we also covered reporting requirements with the constables. For the September 2011 report, we did receive most constables except for 2 by October 6th.
Which 2 didn't?
I don't have that listed.
Okay.
Constables also commenced submitting reports to Commissioners Court for review. Another highlight that we did, I would like to note is the park system internal controls on cash receipts for daily entrances have been improved. Enhanced internal controls contributed to increased daily entrance revenue. Daily entrance revenues for fiscal year 2011 exceeded last fiscal year's daily entrance revenues by $719,000. Unannounced cash audits have helped identify...
How much?
$719,000.
That exceeded last year's?
That is correct.
Is that ever since Pete's people took over from the bridge? Toll collection?
I guess the automating system, removing from the manual system.
19,000.
That's how much we were losing before, well,
Well, there's other factors. I'm not sure about the rates and visitors, and I'm sure there's other factors, but improved internal controls did contribute to part of that increase in revenue.
Wow.
Have we had any more money bags lost since internal controls have been introduced? Just out of curiosity. I mean, we lost, occasionally we would get a report of like a deposit bag lost.
Kind of like the Little League concessions where they lost the money bag.
Have we had any?
Not that our office is aware of.
Okay.
Do we have armored service out there that picks up their money?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay.
To continue on our highlights, the last thing I'd like to highlight is our unannounced cash audits we performed countywide this past year on a variety of offices, helped us identify more offices with internal control issues. We did receive a lot of positive feedback from several offices. Some want more information on improving their own internal controls. Others were interested in actually for us to meet with them, and others took action on some of the findings that were reported to them. The offices that responded positively, as of yesterday, was the juvenile office, tax office, district clerk, sheriff office, county parks, and justice of the peace, precinct 5-1. Okay, so the county auditor's office will continue our efforts for improvements on financial operations oversight in fiscal year 2012 by continuing to meet and educate county offices on reporting requirements, continue efforts on auditing cash receipt procedures. We'll also incorporate educating departments on the importance of internal controls and standardizing certain reporting procedures, which you all mentioned prior. The county auditor's office long-time goal is to establish an internal audit department in compliance with the international standards for professional practice of internal auditing. An internal audit department will allow for a variety of audits with larger scopes. Largest benefit of having an internal audit department is having someone to continuously monitor risk and ensure controls are in place to mitigate risk. Other benefits may include improving internal controls, improving processes and procedures, reducing cost, and increasing revenues. So,
what do you mean internal audit? Isn't that what you already do?
Not necessarily. An internal audit function itself is can be a variety of audits, I guess. Because
we have the external auditors that come in and look at our whole system, and then we have county auditors that does the internal stuff, no?
Right. Well, the auditors that you have now perform basically the duties that were mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, which include record keeping, budgeting, and financial oversight. Well, when we talk about internal audits, we're talking about someone that can go out there and check for grant compliance, check for internal controls. What we can do what we're doing in our office currently is part of what we do is examining and doing very limited scope audits.
How many auditors do you have that just audit?
We have 5, and we have 5 assistant auditors, and there's over 100 county offices.
But those 5, all they do is audit, nothing else.
No.
What other things do they do?
Everything.
All of our staff that are the actual auditors, we do bank reconciliations for other offices. We review grants for grant compliance. We set up their budgets. We make sure their expenditures are within the grant compliance. We do their financial reports. We go out and we do the cash counts. The internal audit department would be a lot more labor intensive, and it would not do any of the actual accounting work for Cameron County, such as is being done now. It would be more in-depth accounting.
How many employees do you have now?
We have 18.
And of the 18 of them, only 5 of them are auditors. What do the other 13 do?
We have one that's the IT. We have fixed asset as well that assists purchasing.
What do you mean IT?
Information and computer technology. They keep up with our software and our updates.
The
and
computer guys
coordinate.
don't do that? Like Joe Reyes? Then?
We have our own financial software that we use, and we have our own IT person that handles and that is key in training employees and keeping up with the updates and making sure that our financial system is working for all of Cameron County that has access to it.
So, and it takes one person to do all that? Like, the computer department couldn't handle that?
He has other duties that he performs, and I would let Joe Reyes see if if they would be able to handle any of that. However, this system that we have is our own financial software system that we have through Cameron County.
Does that include the Kronos?
Yes, it includes the Kronos as well. So we have an IT person that assists us with any problems that we have with our financial software program, and he also does the time clock issues when the Kronos system has problems.
And the other 12 people?
We have the fixed asset, like I said, that works with, that assists purchasing in the fixed asset. He monitors the fuel system, and he does a lot of our lease financing, debt schedules as well.
The fuel, like, to keep track that the employee that was no longer here didn't spend $20,000
That's
worth of gas.
correct.
So did he fall asleep at the job or what?
No, he did not. Actually, this was isolated by our department as well. This was an individual that was no longer working with Cameron County, and we did not receive notification to deactivate his PIN number. So this individual continued to use his PIN number since we were not notified that to deactivate this PIN.
But
Why
don't you
weren't you
all
notified?
handle payroll?
Yes, but our payroll does not keep the information as to who has access to the fuel system or not. This notification, these are controls that should be in place at a departmental level. When a particular individual is terminated, then that particular department should pull all the property that belongs to Cameron County from that individual and follow the proper procedure to deactivate and take them off of the computer system and pull any identifying pins that have been given to him.
And you don't get notified when there's like separation of employees like that? Shouldn't the auditor's
payroll,
office?
The notice of separation goes to payroll, our payroll department.
But that's your office, right?
Yes.
You're over them?
Yes, but the fuel system access is another section.
But can't you tell your people in payroll, hey, if you have someone that's terminated, let us know that way?
We can now, and those are some of the controls that have been recommended and have been put in place. Another thing that we're doing is we're sending the fuel usage reports to all of the departments and having them review it and just for their information so that they can advise us if they see anything in there that's odd or out of place.
Martha, do you audit mileage? Like when
As far
people
as-
turn in their mileage sheets? The only reason I ask is someone recently told me that there was an employee, and I just heard it like yesterday, that was turning in mileage reimbursements that hadn't really been going wherever they said they were going.
The mileage,
Do you audit that?
You're talking about their daily mileage?
I guess. I don't know, because I just
These-
heard a little bit and I haven't had
Okay,
a chance.
if we have particular employees that are requesting a mileage reimbursement, they turn in a mileage log. It is signed by the employee. It should be signed by the department head or whoever is authorized to approve expenditures or reimbursements to their employees. And we are not out in the field to monitor which employees are going where and then documenting that they do turn in.
No,
that
but
their
do you
trips are
audit like
legit.
the department heads as, hey, all these people that are claiming mileage, do you have any controls to verify that they actually did use the mileage or?
If the department head has signed off approving to reimburse the employee, then the department head should be held accountable for the travel that he is reimbursing to his
Right,
employees.
but do you have some sort of controls or checks to go in there and kind of like how you go and do cash counts unannounced? Do you ever check the mileage logs like?
We do not have the manpower to take one particular employee's mileage log or sheet that gets turned in and to visit that particular site that employee said he went to on that day to say, did this person come and pay you a visit? We do not
Okay,
have the
so you
employees to
don't-
do that, no.
Okay, all right.
But even then, even if you did, if the department head is signing off on that, you have to assume from that point that that department head has scrutinized the mileage. There's no way they can go back and audit.
Yeah, but I'm
a
sure
mileage.
the department head was signing off on all the cash collections at
Could
the
be,
island. and
exactly.
We're 700,000 ahead now.
Yeah,
I mean,
but so hold on, but if, that's a little bit different, because if you don't collect the cash, there's nothing to audit. No, you have to have cash, some kind of a record that cash was being received before you know that it's
that it's missing. And in this case, there was no, before we did these internal controls, there was nothing out there that said 100 cars came in, so there's $100 worth of money missing.
Right, but had we had a counter,
Yeah.
then we would, and that's what I'm talking about
That
here.
you can audit.
Do we have something in place maybe that can check those, a system? Not for them to be going and checking every person, but some
these-
sort of system
Well, I don't
in
know,
place.
but these are manually prepared mileage logs, right?
Correct.
Well, right, but let's just say that I go, Chief, you have something to shed light on us? And that,
Yeah, but that's a little bit different. I mean, there's
Well, no,
actually a
but that's-
paper trail
but-
that you can follow.
And that's my question. Is
Yeah.
there something, what you
But he
answered
does
the
it,
question.
not hers.
Right, but
Right.
does she verify that, you know what, Chief Ramirez has these mechanisms in place to avoid the fraud there? He has controls, and that's what I'm asking. Are there controls in place in any of the departments? You've answered my question to yours, but there might be other departments that don't have those in place that maybe we can put them in place. That was my question. So thank you, Chief.
I think the answer is going to be no, but back to the chief's question, are those protocols written in some kind of a policy? Do you have that, what you're doing, is that written in some kind of an audit program? Right, now you go back and do it, okay? But right now, just do it arbitrarily, just pick out one, but you don't have anything in writing that, I will random sample, once a month or twice a month, and especially you let your employees know that you're going to be random sampling their mileage, so
Those
they'll know that you're going to be checking up on it. But you don't have any written protocols right now, and maybe you should. And that's a good idea. Right.
And that was why I was asking the question, because I heard that and I thought, well, if no one's verifying, I mean, you would not distrust an employee, but if you never check on them, guess what? For the last 10 years, every month, here's an extra couple $100 because I took some mileage.
Right. Anyway, they do
Sergio-
not do that.
Sergio, I have a question. Do you all ever audit our concessionaires? Reports sent in by them?
Not actually request a financial report for them. My understanding is the parks are receiving them, but we haven't been able to review what they are receiving. But we would like to.
And you say you haven't been able to because your schedule doesn't allow, or because that information is not made available to you?
Because I guess I would have to go with the schedule. The amount of the work I already do have doesn't allow for a review of that. We try to focus on high-risk areas, and we hope that since there is a contract in place, that they are making their scheduled payments. And so the parks management should be aware of how much they should be receiving on at least for the lease payment. And so if they do see that they aren't receiving these lease payments, I would venture to guess that they would bring that to light to us.
Well, but I think she brings up a good point, like Schlitterbahn. We get a percentage of their gate, what they make, right? Do y'all ever go in and look at their books to see what did you actually make versus what you paid us?
No.
Okay. And if we don't have that written in the contracts, maybe we should start doing that.
We do.
We do have it written in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I mean, that's something that we're just assuming they're giving us the 5% that they're supposed to, but we never actually go and verify, and that might be something to add to the list of things. I know it's a lot of work, but I'm just,
In other words, go count how many umbrellas are out on a certain day, okay?
Well, you might take the high season, and you may have some people volunteer, because a lot of those are cash businesses, right?
So you're volunteering, Commissioner, to sit out under an umbrella?
Well, I will make the sacrifice to go with the clicker if I'm able to take a little ice chest full of cold water.
But no bathing suit, all right?
No.
Okay.
One question that I had, this is just a matter of record. Martha, a minute ago, I think the commissioner asked you if you had assistant auditors, you only have 5 assistant auditors, but as I understand it, everybody that works for you up there is considered an assistant auditor.
That's correct.
And then they have different functions.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
that's-
But there's only 5 that actually audit. The other 13 do other things.
I guess field auditors, so to
Yes.
speak. All right. Okay, anything else? All right, do I hear a motion to acknowledge? I
So moved.
I appreciate
By
what has
Commissioner
been done.
Sanchez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hernandez.
I
Discussion.
appreciate what has been done because I've been here going on 12 years or so, and I've never got a report at any time prior to this last year on some of the actual information and some of the actual procedures and processes that are being followed. And I think that it's brought to my attention a lot of things that can be improved and that are being tried to be improved, which is what it's all about, you know, so.
Well, and I guess part of that was, as a newbie coming in, I didn't know a lot, so I started looking at the statute, and I talked to Bruce, and I said, you know, there's a lot of reports that we're not getting and things we need to do. So we decided a long time ago that we're going to start trying to, if things haven't been done up to par just because time passes or it's never been done, we're going to start changing that. And so, I mean, I see a lot of positive. I mean, in the parks, we have now 700,000 that we might not have had.
I know that in the prior year, we had an analysis done by Civil on different reporting requirements, and it took us, due to our limited manpower that we do have available.
And woman
it took
power.
us- Yes, well,
right. All right.
employee power, okay.
Employee power.
It took us over a year to get to where we are right now because there was a lot of issues that needed to be addressed, and it has taken a year to get the people, the offices that are reporting now
To
monthly
comply.
to comply.
Well, and you know, with the implementation of Odyssey, I know right now is the time to add things if they're not part of the program. So maybe making sure that all these reports are automatic, because the reports that come to us have to go to the state as well to be in compliance. So that's something that right now is the time to jump on and say, okay, from now on, everybody, with the push of a button, we should get those reports without much effort.
Correct.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Let me go back to item O on the consent part. Commissioner Hernandez, please note his abstention on the appointment of Aaron Garcia. And please note Commissioner Benavidez' abstention on the appointment of Lynette Benavidez, for the record. Thank you.
Okay.
I forgot to recognize that.
And note that I wasn't here for that vote, I guess, so I need to vote aye.
Well, we didn't need you. Okay.
Well, if they abstain, don't you need me?
Nah. No, they only abstain on those two.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's go back to the action. Oh, no, we got one more. Hold on. This is on the recognition of November being Homeless Awareness Month in Cameron County, Texas. Is somebody here?
Yes.
Oh, you're here. Okay, I was wondering what you're waiting. You've been so entertained, right?
Didn't know you could have so much fun here. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much for being here and being patient with us. November, well, it's October 2011 is the Homeless Awareness Month. The Commissioners Court passed a proclamation not too long ago, consideration and adoption of a proclamation declaring the month of November, we adopted in October, 2011 is Homeless Awareness Month. The winter poses extreme hardship on unsheltered and inadequately housed low-income men, women, and children in Cameron County. Whereas on any given night in this county, there are more than 200 homeless men, women, and children sleeping in their cars on the streets and other locations not meant for human habitation. Whereas in the season of generosity and sharing, citizens of Cameron County are encouraged to commit themselves to promoting compassion and concern for all brothers and sisters, especially those who are poor and homeless. There are many organizations committed to the sheltering, providing supportive services, as well as meals and food supplies to the homeless, including Good Neighbor Settlement Home, Friendship of Women, Brownsville ISD, Brownsville Community Health Clinic, and others. The Homeless Prevention Program serves our community to address the immediate needs of homeless individuals and families. Cameron County hereby asks all citizens to pause for a moment of silence in remembrance and encourage our citizens to support all local efforts to eliminate homelessness in our community. Proclaimed that the Cameron County Commissioners Court hereby declares the month of November 2011 as Homeless Awareness Month. Congratulations. You going to say a few words?
Yes.
this is here. I'll try it. All right.
Just a few words. First of all, we want to thank you, and we're out here today with the month of November. We're want to go out into our community and raise awareness on this very important topic. We serve our certain population, needy families or people in need in general, and we just want to let y'all know that we're here. We're here at the Ozanam Center, previously known as Casa Romero. And we want to know that we're here to help people in need. And throughout the month, we're going to have various events where we're going to go out into our community and raise awareness, which has not really been done before, but we just want our community to be sensitive to the people we serve and know that we're here.
Well, thank you very much on behalf of the court for your public service and your compassion in doing what you all are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Item 4A, do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules.
Page 1 of the budget amendment, it is it's setting up the budget for Constables Precinct 2 in the drug forfeiture fund. The next pages are general operational. The first one that you see on the line item transfer is for our office. I am requesting the court to approve a reallocation of $1,003 from salaries in our department to 6005, which is extra help. The reason I'm requesting that is we have had one of our assistant auditors that has resigned. We are doing our end-of-year audit files. There was not enough time for that individual to do the training for the individual that we now have doing some of those duties, and to, in effect, have as seamless a transition as possible, and to ensure that the proper training is given to the new employee on dealing with some of the health grants and some of the other duties that individual handled. I would like to bring that individual back on as extra help for a maximum of about a week to ensure that all the training is in place. These are lab salaries that we have in our department at this time. I have discussed this with the district, with my admin district judge, and he has agreed that it is in the best interest of the county to reallocate $1,000 from this line item to extra help. The next budget amendment that you'll see is for Constable Precinct 2. We have some for the Sheriff's Department. And the next pages are all in compliance with the grant funding that is being changed or reallocated. The last page, you've got budget amendment for the DA's drug forfeiture and for the Sheriff's drug forfeiture department.
Any questions on any of the budget amendments? Are there any salary schedules?
I have salary schedules, yes. At the last meeting in Commissioners Court, there was an item that was approved for a reallocation of salaries in the jail division. And so you have that salary schedule for the jail in front of you. There is also another salary schedule for the Sheriff's Department as well. That is also budget neutral. And then you have a salary schedule for the Juvenile Department. That is also budget neutral. It is reallocation of salaries from one slot to another.
Okay.
For your approval.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve? By Commissioner Benavides? Second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion?
You recommend, Martha?
Yes.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item C, minutes of October the 13th, 2011 regular meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve? Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second? I had a concern with the minutes. Oh, let me get a second for discussion by Commissioner Gatsa. Discussion.
Second, yeah. There was an item on there that I wanted to make sure before we approved it was clarified to me because I don't think it's worded properly. Let me look for it because I think it was 3C. Yeah. It was an executive session item and it was 3C. And what was recorded in the minutes that we're looking at approving is, and I'm going to read it so that we can make sure that we're on board with this and everybody's on the same. It was discussion of results of investigation to date into the facts and circumstances surrounding the recent testing and hiring incident in the Human Resource Department and possible further investigate course of action under Government Code Section 551.0712 and 551.07481. And then the recorded part, that was the caption, but it says, Mr. Sepulveda, County Administrator, stated that he met with Chief of Police for the City of Brownsville, and the Brownsville Police Department has recommended not to pursue the case. I motion to acknowledge the report of legal counsel of Mr. Sepulveda. The motion was seconded by Commissioner Sanchez, and it carried unanimously. But I don't recall that the Brownsville Police Department has recommended not to pursue the case. I think that the Brownsville Police Department...
They found nothing.
Well, the Brownsville Police Department was not going to pursue the case. They didn't make a recommendation to us. And is Pete back there? Where is he gone?
Yeah, he had to leave.
You have to go take care of some.
And I asked Pete about this before the meeting, and he says, no, I didn't recommend not to pursue, or the police department did not recommend not to pursue the case. The Brownsville Police Department
Said they weren't going to do
said
anything.
they would not pursue the case.
Right.
So if we can make that correction.
Well, but didn't he also say that they didn't find anything?
I don't remember the whole context of what he said, but, you know, I mean,
That's not what he said in open session.
I don't know what, I mean, we have the recording, and I can't remember exactly what he said.
Okay, well, then let me do this. If you want to make the, I don't remember whether it's recommend or did he not recommend or he did not
If we want
want
to
to
table it,
pursue
make
it. Yeah,
sure
we can do
we
that.
look at the
Can you go
tape.
back and look at it? Okay. Let me hear a motion to rescind. So moved. By Commissioner Hernandez, rescind by Commissioner Gatsa. Do I hear a motion to table?
Move the table.
By Commissioner Gatsa. Second, by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, item carries. Item D, consideration approval to use some funds from slot 15 to create another position for Juvenile Probation Department.
That particular slot is currently a slot that's funded for an administrative position, and that administrator has resigned. And what I would like to ask for is the ability to take that slot and divide it into two positions. That would be a probation officer and a probation aide. And the reason being is that,
So you're not going to need the administrative position any longer?
well, we could still benefit from it, but because of the funding losses that we have suffered over the last few years, and the loss of placement dollars, and the fact that the Texas Youth Commission has reduced the number of beds available to the counties.
Well, I don't have any problem with it if you're recommending it and it's budget neutral.
It's budget
I don't have any
neutral.
problem with that.
And you're not going to come back in a year or two
Ab-
saying, I need a supervisor? I need a-"
Absolutely not.
Okay, do I hear a motion? Moved by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, item carries. Item E, designation of funding source for cost of housing inmates out of the county.
Buy lottery tickets?
Judge, Commissioner, I put this on the agenda. As the court is aware, there were no funds budgeted for housing inmates out of county for fiscal year 12. We have already incurred cost for the month of October and for the month of September. As of
Wouldn't September be last year's?
I'm sorry, October and November.
Okay.
October 31st, we had 168 housed out of county, and as of the 10th of November, we have 185 out of county. We have females and males out of county. The cost to house the males is $48 a day. I know that the court has unofficially or officially designated lap salaries to be used to pay for this cost of
But we don't
housing
have enough right now.
inmates out of county. In fiscal year 2010, we generated $637,000 worth of lap salaries. our cost for housing inmates out of county was $2.1 million. In 2011, we generated $727,000 worth of lab salaries, and in 11, our cost for housing inmates was $1.29 million. We have been pulling money from lab salaries, from lapsed fringe benefits, and from line items that have budget available at the end of the year. That is what we use from the other departments to cover some of this cost. But if the population out of county continues at this point, we will not be able, I mean, we won't cover it with, obviously, with lab salaries or with lapsed fringe.
Is there a benefit to having a county jail that's certified versus not certified?
Yeah, they can shoot.
Being sued,
Getting
civil
sued.
rights lawsuits when
And
people
because-
get hurt
Because
or,
we hadn't been certified for 10 years, right?
I don't know.
Well, that's what the latest article said in the paper.
I saw it in the paper, I don't.
Just because it's in the paper doesn't mean,
Well-
and I'm not saying.
Easy, big guy.
Well,
Easy, big guy.
unless,
Emma, take
unless,
note of what he's saying.
unless we get something from the jail standard saying it hasn't been, but I don't see how it could have been. I mean, it was on y'all's watch then that
Well,
you
we-
let this thing not be certified.
We got a letter from them congratulating the sheriff for finally being in compliance.
Well, but that might just be after they were not in compliance.
Well, obviously it would be.
Right, but was it the last time that they came in and they did the walkthrough? It was like a month ago, and they said, oh, you're out of compliance.
Could be.
Then they came back, checked, you're in compliance. So that letter is saying, last time we came, you weren't, but you are now. Have we gotten any in the past saying you weren't and then you were?
I've never
I don't know.
seen one where we had been in compliance. That's the first certificate I see.
Right.
Since I've been on the.
It's always been, we always get correspondence saying that
Okay.
they haven't been in compliance for
But-
various
So-
reasons.
So we've never had the follow-up visit saying, okay, you're good now?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
When we went to Austin, remember, we met with Adan and Representative Oliveira's office, and they did whatever, and they said, okay, we're going to go ahead and certify it. That was a few months.
Certifying is one thing, but in compliance is another, I believe.
Yeah,
Well,
they-
how can they
certify
certify it if we're not in compliance?
Well, they certify you to have inmates in the jail. Being compliant is where you comply to all of the standards in there. And I don't know if many of the state systems are even in compliance for that matter, besides county systems.
Well, okay, well, I mean, because when we left Austin after that meeting, as far as I understood, yes, you can have prisoners in your jail. So you're asking, is there a difference between it's okay to have prisoners versus top performer?
Yeah, right.
Maybe, I don't know.
And, you know, I mean, now that we have 10% vacancy at our hotel there, we've got to house them at $48 a day somewhere else. So my question to this court is, maybe we need to be out of compliance and use all the beds we have.
We talked about that a couple of days ago.
The issue there is
The
classification.
10% rule.
But the 10% is for classification, so that if you have, I don't know, Texas Syndicate and Vayucos and, you know, all these different gangs, you can't have them together because they'll kill each other or whatever. And so and then if you have high risk, so you have to have all this empty space to be in the compliance, I guess, standard. But in reality, the sheriff decides who he ships out and who he doesn't. We can't stop him. We just are charged with paying the bill.
Right.
It's like going on a date and your date orders, but you got to pay the bill when it comes.
Unless you say before you get there,
You can only have the chicken.
I mean, it's Chick-fil-A day.
But I don't know if we can do that. Can we tell the sheriff that?
I don't know, I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got to, we're having to come up with $48 a day for 160 people for 30 days. Sir, how much is that?
I'll let you calculate it out.
It's about $200,000 a month.
It's in excess of $200,000 a month.
Echo.
$230,000 a month.
Look, the
Okay.
point is,
I mean-
how are we going to pay for this, okay?
Right.
That's, I mean, let's get back into the lane, but,
Can we be non-compliant in housing?
well, I don't know if we can or we cannot, but that's not the issue today. The issue is how are we going to pay for it. Right now, the only source that you can go to is reserves. That's the only place you have. There's no other place to go. You cannot book anticipated lapse salaries. How much is in lapse right now? 30, 40,000?
maybe.
You know, I would sweep that into that, and the only place you go is there. But that's the short-term thing for today. But what are we going to do midterm and long-term?
We're going to build additional facilities.
Well, if you build additional
choice.
facilities,
They will come.
you know, yeah, 5 or 7 million, we still have to find the resources to, you know, to build that. Do we want to go out and issue more COs for that? That was a discussion that the newspaper called a week ago about the, you know, retargeting some of the monies that we had issued these COs back in June.
I don't think we can do that.
No, we can't. I mean, that's already a moot point. But I'm saying that was a discussion. Can we? No, we cannot. Okay, now we're back to square one. If we need $5 to $7 million to remodel the old warehouse, what is this court going to do? Because we know it's going to have, you know, a 3/4 of a penny impact or a half a penny impact on next year's budget. And here we go again. We're going to approve to build something.
Well, let me ask you this. If we have to have empty space that we can't use anyway, can't that warehouse serve as the empty space we're not using anyway?
Well, but you got to build it.
We'll put some cots in there.
I mean, you have to, in order to bring this up, you got to spend, the last estimate that I heard from the sheriff's office was $5 to $7 million.
It's about 7 to 8
Okay?
now, probably.
Whatever the number is, we don't have it. So we'd have to figure out how we're going to do this. I mean, either we don't do it, we don't have the reserves to do it, or we go out and issue more debt.
Well,
And with that debt, it's going to have a price to it. And, you know, and we can't say, well, you know, let's build it. Then when, you know, raising taxes come along, well, I can't do that. Well, but wait a minute. You can't have it both ways. Right, Raul?
I don't know that we have a choice.
Commissioner Hernandez and I met with a company from Colorado, and they are a company that has, and they were supposed to meet with the sheriff and people at the jail to do a study to see. They offer services that are sort of like a daily reporting. You get released from jail, but you've got to report daily instead of being locked up, which is something we might be able to go to. Now, there's a cost involved, but the cost would be a lot cheaper than what we're paying right now. So
Yeah, but that's not up to us, though, isn't that? That's up to the judge, and, you know.
We're right, but if we make it available, then the judges might say, well, yeah, instead of keeping you locked up, I'm going to let you daily report because there's someone monitoring you every day. Right now, the probation office and the pretrial services office wouldn't be able to handle that type of caseload.
Well, but by the time we implement that, we're talking, you know, $1 million down the road in terms of housing inmates.
Well, by the time we build the jail, we're talking
18 months.
$1 million
I agree.
down the road.
I don't disagree, and that's an option we need to talk about. But that's up to the judges to, you know, to determine, and if we can get them maybe to, you know, to work a little bit harder and faster.
Yes, part of the problem right now, and I didn't want to tear into the Odyssey guy, but I need to talk to him, is right now the judges don't have the ability to look to see who was in the jail before. The way they did when the Eagle was. When the Eagle system was in place, they could look at the inmate population and see, okay, out of my court, who's in jail? Right now, because of the way Odyssey is, and because of HIPAA laws, the sheriff can't just say, okay, look at the file, because there's medical logs tied to it. So because the courts can't see who's in there, they're not able to say, okay, let me run a jail docket with persons 1 through 80 here because I know they're in my court. So we're running a little blinded right now.
Well, that, you know, that's for another, if you can answer that really quick, Joe, because I want to move on, because this is a whole topic by itself. For now, we have to give her direction as to where to go.
Create that report for the courts. As a matter of fact, we're talking with the courts recently this week.
When did that report get
They
created?
got it late last week or first thing Monday. But I'll
Okay,
check
so
back with
just,
the
I mean,
courts.
recently.
Yes, I'll check
Right.
back with the courts to make sure that they're fully utilized.
Okay.
Okay.
For now, we need to give her authority to draft from the reserves to pay this. How much do we owe right now?
Right now, well, at the end of November, we'll probably owe about $425,000.
Okay. Well, I
We
mean,
can sweep what is available in lap salaries, and then the rest has to come from.
At this
the-
rate, you'll have no fund balance left at the end of the year.
That's correct.
Yeah.
but that's why we have to act,
You need to build.
and we may have to just, we may have to build it.
Yeah, we have no choice.
We have no choice, exactly right.
Do we have a vote?
Do we have what?
Do we
We
have
need
a
a
motion?
motion
a vote?
before we
No,
have a
not yet.
vote.
I mean, is everyone through discussing? How much do you want to authorize her to draft out? 400,000? I mean, you got no
If we ha-
choice. I mean, you got to pay the bill.
400, drafting 400,000 would only
Cover up to now, but we still
Up
have
to-
180 out.
probably about a month and a half.
Up to November.
Right.
Put it back on then.
You know, whatever, put it back on whom?
No.
Oh,
For
To
the
ask,
next one.
keep going to the well every month.
you got to keep going to the well.
Know what's going on, you know, I mean,
Maybe we should have had this discussion before we decided on the JP, so they could hear what kind of issues we're dealing with.
Yeah, well, too late, we're here. All right, let me hear a motion then to authorize the transferring of $500,000 from our reserves.
So moved.
To pay for
Second.
the housing of inmates outside of Cameron County. Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Sanchez. Any further discussion? One more thing, David, we need to get another maybe right after Thanksgiving, to have a workshop to talk about this in terms of what direction we're going to go of building out that warehouse or not, unless y'all want to have it next week,
Let's do it next week.
okay?
We can't add it to next week's agenda, right? It's too late.
No, we can have another meeting. Well, no, he'd already posted it because we're off tomorrow.
Well, can't you post a supplement? Because it's not till Wednesday.
Yeah, but we're closed tomorrow. So you'd have to
Post
post
it
right now.
today.
Exactly, right now.
For next Wednesday, we still have time.
Well, for 3 o'clock.
No, we could,
Whatever time it
Wednesday,
is.
today's Thursday.
Exactly. So you'd have to post it today.
3 days.
Exactly, but we're closed today.
Tomorrow.
I mean, tomorrow. So the next post would be Monday. We don't have enough time. So we'd have to post it today.
It's business days or just days?
It's days.
Okay, when's the meeting? Next Wednesday?
Correct.
Got to post today.
You have to post
So we
today.
could post it this afternoon for Wednesday morning?
No, you don't have 72 hours, do you?
Yes.
Yes, you do. You could do that.
Yes.
We
You
could
want to
do this.
workshop it?
We could do this. Go ahead and post it.
David, can you post it sometime at the end of the day? Just a workshop to discuss, once again,
Workshop it for Wednesday.
workshop it for Wednesday, jail overcrowding and, you know, blah, blah, blah.
And let's have all the parties necessary here.
Yeah, you bring the party favors,
All right.
all right? Okay. All right, had a motion, second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, item carries. Thank you. Item F, consideration, possible action regarding items approved for the jail, infirmary, and sheriff's department.
You can go ahead and table that one for now.
Okay, do I hear a motion to table?
So moved.
By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, item carries. Item G, discussion and possible action regarding law enforcement vehicle usage policy for non-law enforcement activities outside of Cameron County. Commissioner, that was yours.
Put this one on. I've had complaints from people about constable vehicles escorting school buses out of town. And I've also had complaints about the funeral details, saying that there's a funeral and you've got 8 constable cars showing up. And so I thought we maybe could put a policy in place. And I thought that you couldn't go out of the county without getting travel approved, whether you use a county vehicle or if you're going on your own and then billing it. But if you're using county vehicle, don't you have
You're
to
not
get it
supposed to,
approved?
but look, why don't we talk about that in the context of the vehicle use policy that we kind of put off from a couple of weeks ago?
Well, the only concern is, right now with playoffs and everything, you got football teams going really far away, and we're
Well,
paying.
but we're not going to go very far very often. So,
Well,
so
and-
what do you
and
want to
that's
do?
fine.
I mean, I don't know if you can do that.
Well, we can't limit in other words, before you take a county vehicle out of the county, get commissioner court approval?
I'm fine with that.
Take a vehicle out.
Well, but they
Okay,
do.
well,
The constables will escort the school buses, but
and then you got to pay the deputy overtime, you got to pay for the gas, and
Yeah, I
then
don't
if
know
they
about
get
that.
into an accident or something, you know, that's a lot of liability
But
that,
let me ask you, how are you going to prevent it from happening? How are we going to know? Once they leave, they're gone, they come back, and okay, then what are you going to do? They're already gone. What's going to be the consequence?
Well, I don't, I
There is,
mean,
really, look at it. I agree with what you want to do. I agree with it.
so this.
I've heard the same complaints.
This
but-
board doesn't have any authority
Well,
to
you
put a
can,
stop
but
to it?
how are you going to stop it? You stop it right now, you prohibit it. Let's say we vote to prohibit it, but they go off Friday anyway. What are you going to do?
Bruce?
It's a budget matter, I would think. In other words, if they're going off, and it's decided, that this serves no legitimate public or law enforcement or safety purpose, then you could done their budget for these extra funds. I don't know that it's ever been actually looked at. I know that Joe and I looked at, whether there would be insurance coverage for it, and we think there is insurance coverage because it tends to follow the vehicle.
Well, it becomes a budget issue if they run out of fuel during the year. Then it becomes a budget issue. But if they don't run out of fuel, then we don't know about it.
What about using?
Excuse me just a second, Commissioner. Let me say one other thing here about this. This is a service. To the extent that there is anything good to come out of it, and assuming for the moment that escorting school buses is a good thing to do and a service, I think one could argue that whoever the school district is or team sponsors are that we escort should enter into an interlocal agreement with the county to reimburse us for those costs, because, there's certainly, unless, the elected official, believes somehow that this is part of his discretionary judgment call as to how to best serve the public as an elected official with duties that he has, it looks to me like it could be considered an unauthorized gift. And if it is, then no official has the authority to gift that service to someone without fair compensation and, assuming there's not really and truly a legitimate public benefit, to the county as a whole. We're not talking about, to my knowledge, we're not talking about a benefit to the county as a whole here. We're talking about the benefit to a handful of people who are taxpayers in the county who may have sons and daughters on these teams and bands and whatnot.
What do you do about the funeral processions?
The traffic, because of the custom that attends a funeral, there is a legitimate traffic issue there, I think.
Well, but can't we do an interlocal also there, Bruce, to say if it's originating in the city, make the city participate if the county's going to do it?
We could certainly explore it. I would have no problem at all exploring that. I'm not sure, though. See, that to me runs more in line with a law enforcement or public safety issue because you have such a long line of mourners, and the custom that we live with in the valley, and for that matter all over the country, is that we defer to the mourners in a situation like that, which, there is certainly a legitimate,
Right, but I'm talking about where, let's say you have a funeral that's in the Harlingen area, yet you've got constables coming from Los Fresnos, from Riondo, from La Feria. I mean, you don't need all the county resources for that.
Here again, that's, the need. This is probably something that if we were to set the various officials down and get them all around the table at one time, maybe we could work something out so that, we could do it informally.
Well, I think after today's meeting, they're not going to want to work with us at all.
Well, otherwise, I think there really is a legitimate constitutional issue about gifting this service to a handful of taxpayers and the high schools or junior highs that are sponsoring these teams. So I can see an angle that we might need to further develop it, but
So how do we enforce it? I guess is the judge's question.
Well, if this comes down to an unconstitutional gift situation, then we could issue some sort of a not an ordinance but a resolution, or give orders. That be it ordered to the constables that we believe that this is an unconstitutional gift, and if you continue to do it, you may be subject to removal from office, you know, or something like that. You know, there's a few things in the law that we almost never talk about, never touch, because it's so sensitive. But where public officials violate the Constitution, or where they violate their reporting requirements, they subject themselves to serious repercussions, assuming, you know, the laws that are there in place to take care of those repercussions are enforced. So, you know, it may be that, you know, we could throw enough of a scare into, you know, these particular, you know, players here to discourage them from doing it. And if they decide they want to do it, then, you know, we could take legal action, perhaps a declaratory judgment, perhaps a application for writ of mandamus, or, you know, whatever legal remedies we want to pursue. There are a number of them. We would have to see to it that those particular procedures are properly the vehicle for, you know, putting it to a legal issue. We could, in the meantime, from an audit viewpoint, I expect that Martha would probably have the authority to say, okay, you know, AG, am I to approve the expenditure of county money for the escort out of county of bands, or for that matter, escort anywhere? You know, is this the kind of thing that we want to, that the state of Texas condones from a, you know, constitutional viewpoint? I mean, there are a number of things that we could do to try to curb, you know, this expenditure, and
Okay,
you know,
Commissioner.
I'm willing to explore them with anybody that wants to do it.
Commissioner, what would you like?
So, well, let me ask you this, Bruce. Does our policy right now that requires any travel to be approved by them going out of the county, escorting these buses, is that violating that policy?
You know, I'm not sure. I know that we do have a rule that if you're going out of county on county business and you use your own vehicle, and you know, if you're, you know, off and you have a lunch or whatever, and it's all county business, you come back and get reimbursed for it. That's a distinction between the situation we have here, because the constable leaves with a full gas tank. Well, there you're talking about after the fact, trying to reconcile the expenditure that has already, you know, been done without, you know, a prior authorization. And it's you know, the argument was, you know, would have to turn on whether or not it's legitimate county business. If it's not legitimate county business, then it's clearly a gift. If it is, then, you know, from a policy viewpoint, I'm not sure this body can do anything, because that would be within the discretion of the officer. So it's a thorny subject, you know, any way you look at it, but, you know, it certainly seems to me that the law would support whatever we need to do procedurally, I mean, court-wise or whatever, to curb what may be considered an unconstitutional expenditure of county funds.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make a motion to require that any travel by law enforcement outside of the county that's not an emergency situation require commissioner court approval before the travel takes place.
Do I have a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Gatsa. Discussion. Okay, let's assume that they don't do that. Then what's going to be the consequence?
Then it would be, you know, then we're talking about legal action to force the elected official to do what's right under the Constitution.
All right.
Okay, my comment is, I think we're being a little petty. You know, we got funerals and football games. It's not like, you know, we're paying thousands of dollars to all these different games. It's very seldom
They make
that
the
this happens.
playoffs.
Huh?
Seldom make the playoffs.
Well, that's a separate issue, but, you know, I mean, are we going to impose government on every little thing we do?
We're just saying get prior approval before you go spend taxpayer dollars.
How
I
would,
guess,
oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Go
sorry.
Funerals.
I
and
guess
those
you're
type of
going
things.
to exclude law enforcement, transportation of inmates, mental health transport, and juvenile probation having to transport juveniles to other
Oh, but
facilities?
that's
No, we're
county
saying
business.
non-law enforcement duties.
But that's county business either way, though, okay?
Right.
Oh,
I don't think it's county business to follow a school bus.
That's the question, I think, Judge. Is it or isn't it county business? It's
Right.
clearly county business to transport inmates. We don't have any, any discretion.
Right.
But here again, the elected officials involved, they are exercising a judgment as to whether or not to go do this. And the question is whether they're at liberty to do that.
Do they get paid for doing this?
We're paying the deputy
I know
overtime.
that. No, well, I don't know about the overtime, I don't think so, but do they get paid separately, like from whomever they're escorting as a stipend?
I don't know that.
I know
When you have a funeral, okay, you are charged by the funeral home for police escort, whether it be constable or police. I mean, it runs, I want to say, $150 to $200.
Or if they're charging for it, well, county should be getting that money.
Yeah, but I don't believe any of the constables are charging for that. Not, at least not the ones in my area, because I've asked them specifically. They don't charge anybody.
You know what, call the funeral homes and ask them.
Are they paying the constables?
Actually, yeah, I guess the funeral home
I
should
don't
be the
know.
one that
If
should
they're
answer
paying the
that.
constables, Cameron County's not getting the money.
Right, well, it's
I've
like,
never-
it's like JP's marrying people.
Internal
You know,
audit.
you don't get the money from that, and they use county resources, the county building, county staff, or whatever it is, and the county doesn't get a dime.
Hey, I never got any money for weddings,
You're not a JP anymore, gang.
but when I was.
And that,
I
and
never
that,
charged
you know,
for
and that's an issue that I've had a concern about for Arizona Commissioner, that, they marry people in the courthouse, well, y'all know the story, and they'll collect several $100s, for that.
We're talking about vehicle usage. I know that in the past, we had, years ago, something on our agenda to approve travel of a constable going to Corpus Christi to go on a bus, to guide
Take
the
a
bus.
football.
And it was brought to Commissioner's Court.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I think it should be brought here for us to vote on it. And if the majority says, go do it, then the taxpayers that are calling saying, hey, why are these people following these buses? I could say it was approved by the court.
Well, I think what we're not touching on either is a couple of things. One, the liability issue. Once they leave out the county, are they covered by insurance? If they get hurt, does workman's comp cover them if they're on, I mean, if they're, well, you don't know if they're on our dime or not.
Well, if
You
they're
don't know if
driving our
they're-
car, they're on our dime.
Well, you're assuming that.
Well,
We're
how can they legally drive our car if they're not on our dime?
A lot of people do a lot of stuff that may not be doing illegal. But I guess my question is, those are the types of issues that we need to look at in terms of workers' comp. See, that's why a lot of times we'll approve travel for somebody driving or going to McAllen.
To get them covered.
To get them covered through workers' comp if something should happen to them. Why do you do that? But that's why. Those are the types of questions we need to be asking these constables. Number one, are they getting paid? Number two, from legal and are they covered? If they have an accident, does workman's comp cover them if they're not an official county business?
Why don't we add that to the workshop next week
We
that
can
we're
do
going
that.
to post?
Add it.
Yeah, because
And
that
we can have
kinda
all those
dovetails
questions answered.
into the using of county vehicles to do private security work.
That's correct.
It's the
Yeah,
same
because
thing.
sometimes they'll take their cars and park at Whataburger getting paid.
Or weddings or
Or
dances
weddings
or
or whatever.
That's
That's
correct.
true. Well, you know what? Let's put that on, and if we can have our insurance question answered.
Well, no. Okay, we all have some time to, legal have some time to look at that research.
So I'll rescind my motion.
So you're going to table your motion then?
Well, yeah.
Or table this item?
Yeah, well, we table it, we bring it back as a workshop item at the next. But you know what, I still think that from this day, just send them a message out, Javier. Send a message out to the constables that any out-of-county travel needs to be approved by Commissioner's Court.
Unless it's of
And
an
see what kind of response you get.
Unless it's of an emergency, I mean, if.
Yeah, the
you're,
emergency, yeah.
I was going to say there would be a hot pursuit exception for that, I would think.
Right, sure.
But you don't want some of these guys hot pursuing anybody.
I'm pursuing a bus all the way to San Antonio.
Okay, I had a motion by Commissioner Sanchez
And that was to instruct our budget officer to or Marta to send a letter to the constables regarding out-of-county travel escorts.
Martha? Why Martha?
Javier.
Marta or Javier? Well, because you
Budget.
pointed to Marta. It's a financial issue.
It's a legal issue.
Well, I don't care who sends the letter.
Okay, we'll
just
have
send it.
motion to have Bruce send them a letter.
Send Bruce, fine, Bruce.
Legal doesn't send those letters.
There you go.
Let me suggest that the auditor do it.
That's
And
what I thought.
the reason why I say that, it is a financial issue, and we have today,
Listen to me, man.
for the first time, to my knowledge, raised the issue of whether or not this is a proper practice.
Okay?
And in the meantime,
Okay, Bruce.
I will get with
In the
her.
meantime, you can research and do all that.
Absolutely.
Got it, thank you. Okay, letter, all right? It's got to come before Commissioner's Court, all right? Okay, moved by Commissioner Sanchez to do that. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides, discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item carries. Item H, Airport Fixed Base H.
Nay, I said.
Judge, Commissioners, the only.
Oh, you
thing-
said nay.
I said nay also.
Okay, mark that as a nay from Commissioner Garza and Commissioner Hernandez. God, I've got another deciding vote. How exciting.
You already did.
Send the letter.
You want me to move over?
Nah, we're cool. You're starting to think like a Republican. That's a good thing. Okay.
Or you're starting to think like a Democrat.
I hope not. Item H, Port Isabel Airport Fixed-Based Operations.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Discussion.
Request authorization to issue an RFP for FBO.
Got it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Item J, moving the regular meeting time from 12 noon to another time. Again, here we are, we've been here since 10 o'clock. No one's eaten. Poor Emma's been sitting here for hours too, probably starving. Roger, everybody doing that. I
Well,
still,
we can move it to 1.
why don't we move it to 9:30 in the morning?
I don't care, whatever time you guys want,
I have no problem with the morning, the middle morning, man. I'm famished.
If we start with, the only reason we're here today is because we had the special meeting at 10.
Yeah, but those are going to happen again.
Well, and that's fine. But if we're going to have a special meeting, what time are you going to have it? At 2 in the afternoon if we start at 10?
No, we'll start at 10.
And when are you going to have the special meeting?
We can have it at 8.
Well, why don't we have a special meeting at 8 today instead of 10?
Because nobody wanted to. Nobody wants to wake up. Because I already had a conflict. Commissioner Benavides and I already had a meeting at 8 o'clock this morning, and that was already been scheduled.
Right. And for me, things come up to meet with people before our meetings.
Well,
and so 10 o'clock.
Okay, let's do it at 10 o'clock in the morning.
No, 10 o'clock I think is too early.
Oh,
And-
Chihuahua.
well, let me tell you, if we start at 10, it's going to go into the lunch hour anyway.
Yeah, but we won't be there till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean,
Well-
we're nowhere near. We're already 3:30, and we're not done yet.
We're almost done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but see, we get to eat inside.
Well,
But people sitting out here don't know when we're going to come back.
So let's start at 1. Everyone can eat before they come. We start at 1 and we're done by 5.
Okay, do I hear a motion for a morning time?
Judge, let me interrupt for just a second. We're going to talk about a subject in executive session that may impact your decision in the very near term on this issue.
Which item is that, Bruce?
It has to do with the TAC lawsuit and a consultation with our attorney on that lawsuit.
Motion to table.
And so if you would table it for the moment until we come back out of executive session and take it up
Second.
then.
Or don't act on it, and then we come back.
Yeah.
Don't act on it right now.
That'll be
Till after
fine.
we come back.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, item K, we'll come back and discuss that one.
That's the table, right, Roger? Motion to table.
Oh, on item K, moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa to table.
Aye.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries.